We're going to start right now. Chapter 652 is called... Wait, hold up. It's me, it's your boy, it's Easy Geeky. You know what we're here to read? We're here to read The Lord of Mysteries, Volume 3. Bet. We'll do my intro for right now. Hope you guys are having a beautiful, amazing day. We're going to be reading for as long as we hopefully can. We're not in the right headspace, but that's not going to stop us. We're going to keep reading. We're going to persevere, and we're going to see how far we get today. So if you like what you're going to see, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, share the video, show it to your bus driver, show it to your friends, show it to your enemies, and thank you guys for 2,600 subscribers. Thank you. All right, you guys ready? Wait, hold up. And then thank you to all our members. Thank you to all our mods. Thank you to everybody that's been tuning in like daily, every other day, whenever they can. They watch the boss, they watch the lives. Thank you guys. Peak moment coming. I'm ready. I'm excited. How much can we peak today? We're gonna find out right here, okay? Chapter 652 is called Mermaid Clues. Strongest Hunter Klein was shocked by his nickname. After carefully recalling, he realized that the man didn't have a bounty on his head. This meant that Anderson Hood's description of himself in the dream world was real and reliable. He was more of a treasure hunter. Unfortunately, German Sparrow hasn't killed any pirate admirals, otherwise I would have been the strongest hunter. Klein didn't let down his guard as he coldly looked at the man. As long as Anderson Hood showed any signs of abnormality, he would immediately throw the charm in his hand. After all, the activation incantations was all the same. At his sequence, he could do it simultaneously while injecting his spirituality. Upon hearing the Admiral Star's introduction, Anderson seriously shook his head. No, I'm not the strongest hunter. Oh, he's still rather humble. Klein silently sighed inwardly. Anderson chuckled and added, Admiral Stars, if you really insist, then it's best if you add a condition below that of a demigod. Yes, the strongest hunter below that of a demigod? Oh. I take back what I just said. The corners of Klein's mouth twitched indiscriminately. Seeing no response from the Admiral Stars, Anderson naturally lowered his arms. These waters are very dangerous, but it contains many treasures. In regards, I believe the two of you are very aware. In the past, many adventurers are more precisely treasure hunters have entered these waters to seek out fortunate encounters, but most of them didn't leave these waters alive. I'm talking about most, so there are already some lucky ones who can obtain the items and ingredients while successfully leaving. The treasure hunter team I was in, organized by two treasure hunters who are experienced in this area. They claim to be very aware of which ruins are not to be explored in the first half of the safe route and which ruins could be attempted. They also claim to know which methods should be used to hunt various kinds of monsters, as well as the methods should be used to avoid evil creatures who have lost their control. I've always been curious about these waters and was successfully convinced by them and joined the expedition. And then, Cattleya looked at the figure opposite her with her black eyes that had just a purple hue. Anderson sighed and said, it's very smooth in the beginning, as smooth as it can be. We avoided danger and obtained many of the relics left behind by the former explorers. And we also hunted some monsters and obtained several ingredients. Everything changed when we discovered a strange temple on a submerged island. There were many murals which remained intact. This gentleman had also seen in the dream world. He used his chin to gesture at Klein. That's not important, Klein replied calmly. Anderson shook his head and smiled bitterly. Okay. One of the murals was very sinister. It described a pilgrim proceeding forward amidst a parted sea. That's what we learned last stream. The leader of pilgrimage is depicted as an angel having long silver hair that reaches back. He was very mild facial features. I was the first to arrive in front of the mural. I reached out my right hand and habitually outlined the various lines in the mid-air. It's true, I really didn't touch it. I was at least 5 centimeters away, but to my surprise, the angel in the mirror suddenly... What the fuck? He opened his eyes? Everything changed when the Fire Nation attacked. I was at least 5 centimeters away? Centimeters... Is that in inches? Sorry, my American jogging. We go by inches, not centimeters. Hold up, I'm forgetting. 5 centimeters away, but to my surprise, the angel in the mirror suddenly opened his eyes. Your nickname as the strongest hunter must have been forced as a result of you attracting too many problems. Klein scoffed silently without any sense of pity. Silver-haired angel, Cattleya asked in return. Yes, but I'm not sure which angel it is. At the very least, he hasn't appeared in many of the portraits of the 7 churches. Of course, the mural artists might casually add that it might not be real. Anderson was just about to raise his hand to comb his hair when he discovered the man wearing a round neck shirt, a brown jacket, a pantaloons with a dark-colored cap was was coldly staring at him. It appeared as though any abnormal action would result in the man attacking without hesitation. But at that moment, Klein was thinking about something else. This fellow is very professional when it comes to art. At the very least, a typical person wouldn't be able to know of the many religious portraits. Katlia, who didn't receive an adequate answer, immediately turned her head towards Klein, her gaze filled with an inquisitive look. She had just heard from Anderson Hood that German Sparrow had seen the mural. Perhaps a member of the organization had been gifted by the Lord and can recognize the angels. Katlia had an inexplicable feeling that German Sparrow might really know the answer, considering how Mam Hermit would be able to obtain the answer of the next Terror Club from a casual question. Klein didn't hesitate to simply say, "Tell Devourer Ouroboros. Tell Devourer Ouroboros, that angel of fate, the king of angels." Katlia unknowingly pursed her lips as the purple hue in her eyes turned slightly more obvious. This is getting good, dude. The last time she had heard this name was from the Terror Club, thanks to Miss Justice. And that was her first time learning of the existence, the King of Angels. She never expected to obtain clues of them in the real world in just a few months. Tell Devourer Ouroboros. Anderson ruminated over the name in a daze. Klein didn't speak out further, showing his disinterest in explaining. Seeing how the Admiral Stars wasn't speaking a word, Anderson could only laugh and continue. "I thought I was hallucinating back then because the mural didn't show any abnormality after that." Following that, our team fractured into two. Most of them were frightened by my account and believed that they shouldn't continue exploring the temple. The remaining third desired to obtain the more treasure and began setting off deeper into the temple. We waited an entire day. Noon switched night a total of 3 times, but we didn't manage to see them return. We were all outstanding treasure hunters, so we know that something must have gone wrong. After making some confirmations, we didn't dare to say any longer wait. We immediately left the temple and got onto the ship to return to the way we came. We had already received plenty and we didn't wish to take any more risks. Wait, none of you had the intention to save your companions? Yes, a treasure hunting team that is temporarily put together will only bother with themselves and a few friends that are familiar with when they encounter danger. According to my experience, these companions of yours vanished, might be eating the fingers of corpses. Klein lampooned and didn't reprimand Anderson. Anderson sighed and said, "After leaving the temple, I discovered that there was something abnormal about myself. On the other hand, I became very unlucky with everything I do failing, even when drinking light beer in silence. I realized that someone had used a beer barrel as a toilet and pissed in it. Ugh, that's so unlucky." Well, that's not what I encountered. It was my companion. On the other hand, we obtained control of ourselves and our dreams. We were no longer in a reverie and knew something, but we had no means to take action. Therefore, a number of companions, a third of the original number of people, ventured deep into the dream. They never returned. Katlia, who had been listening in silence, asked, "What about their bodies in the real world?" "They mutated into monsters, killing quite a number of the remaining companions and sailors." Anderson took the obvious deep breath. "We might have successfully killed those monsters, but due to the lack of sailors as well as our encouraging a streak of bad luck, we failed to reach this island in time before the storm arrived. Therefore, our ship sank. Likewise, for our loot, the rest of my companions either drowned, got struck by lightning, or got eaten by underwater monsters. I didn't see all of it myself. As for me, I was relatively stronger and luckier. I was sent flying by the waves and successfully swam to the shore of this island and began attempting to create a canoe to leave this area. As you can see, even my final action shattered, and it was also reflected in the dream." Anderson's final sentences were directed at Klein. "They really are a treasure hunting group plagued with bad luck." Klein inwardly drew the crimson moon for him. He believed that Anderson's description was likely real. His experience didn't seem to be fabricated out of thin air. However, it was unknown if he was hiding something. Perhaps Anderson has really gone deep into the temple, needing the fingers of the corpses before coming out, believing that he was fine. Perhaps he had already explored the numerous places in the dream world and had been corrupted by some unknown creature in an inconspicuous manner. After Anderson Hood finished recounting his experience, he smiled at Katlia and the man who didn't know the name of. "Do I have the honor of being a passenger on your future? I will pay for the fare." He looked as if payment wasn't a problem at all. Katlia once again turned her head to the side towards Klein, as though asking if he would accept. Of course. But then we might get his bad luck, dude. That is to say that you are learning towards accepting his request. Aren't you going to do any tests? I have to go above the great fog to divine before I can provide a clear answer. What gives you confidence? A beyonder power obtained once a mystery power reaches sequence 5. Klein figured out a lot of information from Katlia's gaze. Just as he was hesitating, Anderson hurriedly said, I'm very familiar with the route ahead. I can help you avoid the latent dangers on the safe sea route, and I can tell you which ruins aren't to be explored. I can also give you early notice to avoid the singing voices of the mermaids in time. Singing voices of we need him. We need him on the team. Singing voices of mermaids. Klein nearly lit up as it took him a great deal of effort to maintain Germansboro's illness. Yes, image. Yes, a day's voyage from here, and I mean a day in terms of the world outside. We will circle around a ruin and turn. Upon saying that, Anderson suddenly realizes something as he shut his mouth with a smile without saying anything more. Klein thought for a moment and took out a gold coin in front of Anderson as he silently chanted, Anderson, Hood is problematic. He repeated 7 times and went through the standard process of divination, but he didn't hold any hopes for any answer. It was a test on Anderson. If Anderson really was problematic, he would definitely show signs of guilt. After all, he couldn't be certain if Germansboro's divination standard was unable to determine if he could disrupt it successfully. Ding, the gold coin was flung into the air before landing. Klein glanced at it before putting it into its pocket. No problem. I'll later make a confirmation by going above the gray fog, Klein added inwardly. Kaitlia looked at Anderson and nodded. I agree to your request. However, after we leave these waters, you need to hand over half of what you have. If there's nothing, I'll take anything either. Anderson fell silent for a few seconds before smiling again. Deal. And he's on the ship. Having found a way out, he clearly relaxed as he smiled. Also, I have to warn you that although my bad luck is limited to me alone, you should be careful because I might attract monsters. Dude. Oh, yeah, it's going to be bad. Of course, I believe that with you, this gentleman, and myself, we should be able to guarantee our safety. Just as he said that, the entire island quaked. A smoky plume emanated out of a primitive fortress. Don't tell me a monster's really coming. Anderson subconsciously turned the game. He's like, oh shit. They're chasing me already because he's leaving the island, dude. I like this guy. I genuinely like Anderson. Alright, next chapter, Sexus. Next chapter, chapter 653. Black-faced, black-handed. The ground trembled slightly. Hold up, I'm trying to raise my mic a little bit. Guess this pathway in sequence. It has to be monster pathway. Like I know there's there's one called the Lucky. So I feel like before you become the Lucky, you have to be the unlucky. Because once you truly grasp, no, you're probably lucky because once you truly grasp, or vice versa, right? Like once you truly grasp luck, you have to become unlucky, and then only when you become unlucky, then you fully grasps both sides of luck and unlucky, and then you have better control over fate once you hit like sequence 1, Wheel of Fortune, right? Because the Wheel of Fortune vice versa has good luck and bad luck, just like the dice, right? Is he cooking? Just like how the dice is three sides good, 3 sides bad, 1 to 3 is bad, and 4 to 6 is good. Monster pathway, come on. And ooh, and then once he fully digests unlucky, he becomes the lucky. Because I know there's like I'm gonna pull up monster pathway. No, actually, no, I don't want to pull it up because I know there's one missing before or after the lucky, I think. Wait, I'm stupid. The bad luck is from the mural. You're right. From Ouroboros. Hey, my point still stands. Hold up. If you're being unlucky because of the mural, and you're taking on like an authority, right? And Snake Devourer Ouroboros is probably part of the monster. He's from the monster pathway, correct? Yes, because he's an alleged Snake of Mercury, right? No shot, of course. For you to be, it's like, come on, you've seen it in so many shows. For you to have all this luck, you need to make other people unlucky. Because once you, like, by default, when you make someone unlucky, you become the lucky. Yes, I think we're cooking. The ground trembled slightly as a figure that was nearly 3 meters tall appeared at the boundary of the island's primitive forest. Its body was grayish-white in color, seemingly formed from boulders. Its face was pot-holed without any obvious eyes, nose, mouth, or ears. Strong giant, Kaitlia muttered the monster's type, but be it Klein or Anderson, both of them knew nothing about such monsters. However, they didn't cast an inquisitive look at Kalia. They focused on the monsters, looking highly professional. Kalia turned her body to face the dark future. She raised her right hand halfways and amplified for her voice. Aim. The pirates on duty immediately adjusted dozens of cannons on the port of the ship, aiming them right at the stone giant, which was lumbering over. Boom, boom, boom. Cannonballs flew out and landed around the stone giant, sending dust flying as the bombardment covered a huge area. That's crazy. Truly unlucky. The ground clearly quaked as flames surged. Splinters spewed everywhere as though everything could be destroyed. Tap, tap, tap. The tall grayish-white figure tore out of the dust, having not suffered any serious damage. All it had were a few cracks on its surface. Katlia said without a protrude expression, this isn't a kind of giant, but a kind of stone golem. Its core is the main ingredient of a Sequence 5 Guardian of the... What? Guardian? Its core is the main ingredient of a Sequence 5 Guardian from the Guardian Sequence... A Guardian... What is the Guardian Sequence pathway? I'm sorry. Therefore... Warrior? Warrior? Okay, Warrior is Guardian. Okay, bet. Okay. All right. Now we know what's Warrior. Oh, that's cool. A Warrior is a Guardian. Therefore, and then Sequence 5 is Guardian. Okay, awesome. Therefore, its defenses are extremely high. Amidst the reverberating cannon bombardment, Klein nearly suspected if there was a problem with his auditory senses. Since you know that the stone giant has high defense, why did you use a cannon bombardment? Isn't that a waste of cannonballs? He thought in puzzlement as he lampooned. Clearly unlucky. No shot I knew this. Was that revealed in Volume 3? I'm sorry. I think I forgot. I'm sorry. I only know... I can only recall lore. No shot that was in Volume 2. Okay. That was a good mix-up. Yeah, my bad. That was a good mix-up. No, I mixed it up. Okay. Giant pathway is also the Guardian pathway. Got it. Perhaps hearing his inner thoughts, Katlia said as she watched the stone giant approach, I've never encountered such a beyonder creature before, so I wish to do some tests. I have nothing to say against such a reason. Klein was rendered speechless. At this moment, Anderson Hood, who had been observing the stone giant this entire time, raised his hand and said, do you have anyone who has beyonder powers in the ice, frost, and the ice and frost domain? Me, Katlia coldly answered. Seeing how Mam Hermit had the means, Klein swallowed the backwards as he nearly said out loud. He really didn't wish to activate creeping hunger unless necessary. Despite zombie possessing the powers of ice and frost, she called it Guardian Pathway. Oh. She called it Guardian Pathway because Sequence 5 is Guardian. And then Guardian is before Demon Hunter. Got it. So that's why she called it. Oh, the Guardian Pathway. Got it. I thought like the whole thing was like actually the Guardian pathway, not the giant pathway. Okay, but that's why she called it. Got it. I have nothing to say against such a reason. Klein was rendered speechless. At this moment, Anderson Hood, who was observing the stone giant the entire time, raised his hand and said, do you have anyone who has a power? I just read this part. He really didn't wish he believed that he couldn't find any suitable food on the island. Katlia took out a grayish-black scroll from a secret pocket in the warlock robe and softly chanted a single word in ancient Hermes. Freezing. Suddenly, the scroll was consumed by icy blue flames, and immediately there was crystalline streams on the light appearing in midair. They flew towards the stone and giant and froze the target within as icicles hung from it. Amidst jarring, cracking sounds, the ice layered, cracked, and turned as the stone giant slowly walked out of the zone. However, its grayish-white exterior had turned a darker shade. Its motions were a lot stiffer than before. At this moment, Anderson raised his hands as though he was a conductor gesturing for the audience to give their applause. Orange-yellow flames, which were almost white in color, sprouted at the stone giant's feet as though it had stepped into a particular trap. Its surface rapidly produced a bout of steam as cracks spread across its body in the form of a deep fracture. Anderson pulled back with his right arm as a burning white spree condensed in his palm. The flames at the tip of the spear condensed to a point as it emitted a blinding luster. The spear flew out, accurately hitting the crack in the stone giant bellies as the flames melted a huge hole in it. As for Anderson Hood, who was originally on the beach, he seemed to merge with the burning white sphere. The flames brightened as he strangely appeared behind the stone giant. He held his left hand in a fist as his arm bulged. With an uppercut, he struck upwards from the hole and into the stone giant's heart. Look at that, dude. This simple-looking strike created an exaggerated effect. The stone giant immediately froze on the spot as crackling sounds constantly emitted from its interior. In seconds, it had crumbled into rubble. This reminds me of those stone giants in God of War. God of War PS4, right? Or like or like even in Ragnarok, the stone ones you fight and then like you have to like aim for the stone heart. Yo, what's up, dude? Thank you guys for tuning in. This simple looking strike, yeah, look, a critical strike. Klein pupils constricted. Katlia calmly stood on the spot and said without surprise, Sequence 5 of the Hunter Pathway. Can you say hi? Yo, what's up? Sequence 5 of the Hunter Pathway is Reaper. Reaper is new. Furthermore, they are good at finding the weaknesses of their prey. Now, I think it'd be pretty badass if the Reaper's the one wielding the scythe, right? That'd be pretty sick. Furthermore, they are good at finding the weakness of their prey. New sequence. Oh, okay, that's pretty good. Yeah, 100 pathway is Reaper. Yeah, they're definitely going to be using a scythe, right? I'm sorry, didn't Klein get a scythe? He picked up a scythe, right? He has an item that's a scythe. They are good at finding the weaknesses of their prey. Reaper, a deaf Reaper of life. No wonder Klein nodded slightly. At this moment, Anderson crouched down and rummaged through the stone giant's carcass. Then he turned his head and smiled ruefully. It's not a real monster. That meant that there weren't any spoils of war. While Anderson described the situation, the rubble vanished at a discernible pace. For an unlucky fellow like you, don't be the one opening chests or looting corpses. Klein couldn't help but lampoon inwardly. Anderson returned and kept droning on. The greatest problem of these waters is this. Not every monster will provide you with riches. This is because conjured monsters such as this are part of the more powerful monsters of a high level. Of course, it's possible that they're a result of remnant powers and auras. Klein already had a preliminary theory towards this. Having gone through the voyage, he discovered that there were beyond traces of sun, Evernight Storm, and the Spectator Pathway. He had a more fleshed-out theory from his previous theories. He had originally suspected that the waters were the remnants of a battlefield and a war between Second Epoch ancient gods. Storm belonging to the Elf King. Wait, hold up. Before I read this without reading, I'm gonna walk back. Let me reread this paragraph. He originally suspected. The music is a little loud. Hold up. He originally suspected that these waters were the remnants of a battlefield in a war between the Second Epoch of ancient gods. So it's just listing out the ones that were part of the fight. The storm belonged to the Elf King Sonathrine Spectator. He originally suspected that these waters were the remnants of a battlefield in a war between the Second Epoch ancient gods. Storm belonged to the Elf King Sonathrine. Spectator belonged to the Dragon King Ankelwelt. Evernight belonged to the king of the Mountain Wolves, Flagera. So now they're just tying which one to who, right? With Little Sun providing him with legendary records from the City of Silver at each gathering, Klein had gained a preliminary understanding of the authorities of the ancient gods in the Second Epoch. However, the constant midday at the Sun Chariot form from the gold had made Klein have doubts about this theory. This was because none of the 8 ancient gods grasped the Sun Pathway. Why did I say sun like that? Soon, Klein connected it to Amon and Adam's father, the City of Silver, who was deemed as the ancient sun god. After this creator awakened, and after a series of intense battles, he had taken back the authorities of the ancient gods. Hence, these ruins of the battle between gods were left behind. The incomplete mural he saw at the Elvish ruins suddenly surfaced in Klein's mind. Elf King Sonrafine and the City of Silver's creator, who was also the ancient sun god, were at odds. They were at odds. Elf King Sonafrine and the City of Silver's creator, who was the ancient sun god, they were at odds. As his thoughts wandered, Anderson had returned to his chuckling state. He looked at him and said, "How do I address you, German Sparrow? All the gods fought ancient..." Yeah, all of them fought. But I don't know why I was singing... I don't know why I was singling out the Elf King in him. That's the thing that confused me. I thought... Oh, hey, let me keep reading. German Sparrow. Klein simply gave his name. German Sparrow. Anderson was first taken aback before recovering. "I've heard of you. You're the adventurer who nearly successfully almost successfully hunted Vice Admiral Element. You have the title of the craziest hunter. Last month, when the ship I was on board passed by the Rorsted Archipelago on Ararvi Island, I had thoughts of getting to know you over drinks, but your whereabouts were unknown." Oh, I thought like he was at the bar. That's the shit I find crazy. Yeah, he won a fucking 8v1. That is wild, dude. You know me now. Also, try your best to not say anything. Anderson forced a smile. "I know my bad luck tends to make the negative words I say become reality. All right, stop looking at me. I won't speak again. Put down the charms of yours." By the way, I've been in an 8v1 and I came out on top, by the way. Not trying to brag. I've been in an 8v1 and I came out on top. I'll leave it at that. Also, try your best to not say anything. Anderson forced a smile. "I know my bad luck tends to make the negative words I say become reality. All right, stop looking at me. I won't speak again. Put down the charms. Put down that charm of yours." Due to the appearance of the stone giant, the pirate's relaxation time was cut short. The future quickly set off again, venturing deep into the sea. Theories about ancient sun god. Let me finish this chapter, man. It's like, it's hard to process all this, you know? Pause. It's hard to okay, hold up. Okay, I won an 8v1 in The Last of Us multiplayer. All right, factions like 10 years ago. You know, everybody has a set amount of lives. It was 4 people, and I was the last one, and they had like 10 lives left. I picked them all off. I picked off 4 players, one by one. It was my last life, and I fucking won it. That was like one of like the most euphoric moments I've ever had playing factions back in the day. Last month I was on volunteer. Wait, here, let me finish this and we can talk about the ancient sun god. There's like 2 pages left. Last month I was doing volunteer work at the hospital. Client nodded and said, "You know me now. Also try your best to not say anything." Anderson forced a smile. "I know my bad luck tends to make the negative words I say become reality. All right, stop looking at me. I won't speak again. Put down the charm of yours." Due to the appearance of the stone giant, the pirate's relaxation was cut short. The future quickly set off once again, venturing deep into the sea. Along the way, Klein stayed standing on the deck as he leaned against the side of the ship. He observed his surroundings while Anderson was loitering on the ship. He was good at socializing and interacting with the pirates. Impressive. He easily got to know the situation on the ship. Klein shot a glance at Anderson, who was drinking with a few pirates in the shadows, as he sighed inwardly. Of course, the strongest hunter probably doesn't know that the alcohol he's drinking has a sedative of unknown origins. Klein held back his laughter as he thought mischievously. With Anderson's help, the future circled around about 2 hidden maelstorms and a floating palace ruin as it continued down the safe sea route. About 3 hours later, night fell again. Klein rapidly found his lucidity and the reason in his dream as he opened his eyes and looked around. His vision was worth a swath of pitch blackness was nothing to be seen. "Don't tell me I'm blind." Such a thought instinctively appeared in Klein's mind. Then he reached his right palm into his pocket and took out a matchstick. This was a component that every magician needed for his spells. With familiarity, he took out a matchstick and ignited it. Immediately, a weak flame appeared in front of Klein's eyes. The flame struggled as it bloomed, slightly illuminating his surroundings. He was in a prison cell, one with an unlatched gate made up of metal railings. Why would I be here? I'm neither beside Admiral Stars in the mural hall where Anderson was. I'm randomly placed in a particular area. As his thoughts raced, Klein flicked his wrist and extinguished a matchstick that nearly burnt his fingers. A resplendent glare of the sunlight bloomed on his left hand, and his eyes had 2 miniature suns. A resplendent layer of sunlight bloomed on his left hand as his eyes had 2 miniaturized suns. With the soul of the priest of light, he obtained night vision. He just has night vision like that. With the soul of the priest of light, he obtained night vision from the light of holiness. As he observed his surroundings, Klein saw that the cell wasn't too cramped, but the floor was dirty and messy. There were many footprints, a mystery as to what previously happened. Most of them are human footprints. A few of them are rather exaggerated, likely belonging to giants. The single bed is broken in the corner while there's a key beside the door. Someone succeeded in a jailbreak. Klein came before the unlocked metal gate and carefully looked outside. The prison was filled with the darkness, and the darkness enveloped a stone-paved corridor, and across from him was a cold but solid wall. The path extended continuously on both sides as though there were more prison cells. Klein retracted his gaze, picked up the key on the ground, and locked the gates. He didn't attempt to head out as he continued staying in the cell. He clearly remembered that Will Ossipton has advised him not to explore the dream world. Therefore, he planned on awaiting the arrival at noon. So what if it's a prison cell? It's not like I'm leaving, like he just waits there. Klein hurried in the corner, sitting on a half-single bed, seemingly blending in with the rich darkness around him. In this extreme silence, Klein suddenly cocked his head since he vaguely heard light footsteps. The sounds of footsteps came from afar in the ethereal manner and the slowly frequency as it approached him. Who is it? No, look, this is what I'm thinking. I'm thinking the ancient sun god is just... I think he's misunderstood. Ancient sun god went on an Elden Ring playthrough left my Dude, it's like Chad Ancient Sun God over Crunch Eternal Blazing Sun. It's like Chad versus... You don't think it's weird that he won against 8 gods? Dude, it's... So, Ancient Sun God won at 8v1. And I'm assuming the reason why they probably wanted to fight him was because all of them were all the other 8 ancient gods were depicted to have been corrupted through the abyss. I know I keep focusing on the abyss, but I feel like all of them were like low-key corrupted by the abyss, and that's why the lands were forsaken, right? And then Ancient Sun God, the OOG, had to like step in and protect the land. Protect the land, and like through the aftermath, he became corrupted. So now he's corrupted. Not by, like, now he's evil, but like not by choice, right? Because he probably took all the authorities from the 8 ancient sun gods, right? And then what was it that was revealed in volume 2? Like, he became more than Sequence Zero, but not only because he took on like all the authorities from all these corrupted gods, like by default that corrupted him. But then now it's like when it comes to Eternal Blazing Sun, we don't know shit about him. Like, we literally is like, he's just depicted as a sun when you looked at him. That was like the only description we got about him in volume 1. And I know that's going to come back into play. So I'm thinking the Eternal Blazing Sun is like actually low-key the ancient sun god. But like the reason it looks like a sun is because like he's like a cocoon, right? Like he's waiting to be reborn or whatever. I don't know. I really don't fucking know, man. But like the speculation part of Lord of the Mysteries, I'm sorry, hold up. Fucking, I am a blasphemer. I apologize for that. Like, low key, the speculation part is really good in the series because like you don't know. I'm pretty sure smarter people out there have been able to like pick up on all these, what the fucking, raise my thing higher, have been able to pick up on all these subtle clues from like volume 1 or volume 2 or like even this, but like I don't know. But here, read my last message, please. The mural of the gods corrupted coming out of the abyss was the true creator murals saying other orthodox gods are actually evil. Yes, but they became corrupted, right? But maybe they became corrupted because of the abyss. Because we know in the volume 1 Donghua trailer, they have like a humanoid form, no, they do not look humans in the trailer. They do look twisted, so they probably are actually evil. I'm pretty sure that's been set up since like volume 1, volume 2. No, it was it was the 4th epoch propaganda. The true creator could be using you see that's where I'm conflicted. I don't know what's propaganda and what's not propaganda when it comes to all these creators in this series. All right, when I'm reading lore from like a crazy lunatic from a cult, people are like, "Wait, man, he's probably just hyping him up." He's like, "I don't know that." Nah, you see, that's the thing I like about this series. I don't know what's real and I don't know what's not real. You know, you get me? The real creator is a real good guy. The true creator is really good. You know what, Romero? In some crazy twisted way, that's probably true. You know, like at the end of the day, what is it to be evil? Like, you need to become evil, right? It's like I forget where the saying comes from. It's like you pick the lesser evil. Like, there is no good guy, there is no bad guy. Like, you pick the lesser evil. Clip that for the future. Like, all I'm saying, it's like I feel like the true creator is the lesser evil, and like maybe he is understood, and like we just don't know that yet because he's fucked with us on such a personal, fundamental level that I fucking hate him. But like, there has to be a reason. Like, why haven't all the Orthodox gods descended since the 4th epoch? Like, are they hibernating, regenerating? That yeah, like Megoose, that fucking trust me. I don't know if I want to trust that dude, but you know what? We gonna keep reading. We gonna keep reading, and we gonna find out. We gonna find out if we gonna trust you or not, Romero. It's gonna be a while, but we gonna find out. Hell, pause. Hell yeah. Oh, hell yeah. Pause. All right, now we keep reading. I don't know, man. It just there's a lot of theories. I don't know who's bad. I will not tolerate true creator slander. Shit, man. Maybe you guys are onto something, dude. All right, next chapter, 654, is called Prisoner and Guard. No way, I haven't gone anywhere. It has a far-reaching hands. As the trouble come out on its own, Klein revealed a grimace that didn't grimace. The grimace shake. I understood that reference. That was like hot of the block last year at Anime Expo. They had like a grimace shake stand and everything. Klein revealed a grimace that didn't match Gurmit's Sparrow's persona. He nearly drew a gasp. The only thing that stopped him from doing that was because it would cause quite a stir, making trouble discovering his hiding spot. No longer a green nighthawk, he rapidly made up his mind. He held his breath, slowly stood up, and moved to the side of the metal gate. Without a sound, he secretly and silently looked in the direction of the incoming footsteps. He believed that since hiding and avoiding it wasn't necessarily useful, he had to determine the danger revealing around his situation so as to make the best choice. The two miniature suns in his eyes dimmed as Klein waited for nearly a minute as he heard the footsteps turn heavier and clearer. Following that, he heard the clanking sound of a metallic gate slamming into the wall. Following that, he saw a towering figure appearing on the right of the corridor. The figure was nearly 2.5 meters tall and wore a black full-body armor. The cold feeling it exuded seems like a corporeal gigantic... What the... Well, let's continue from right here. No longer was the armor, right? The figure was nearly 2.5 meters tall and wore a black full-body armor. The cold feeling it exuded seemed corporeal like a gigantic knight. His aura was converged and he was stayed like a deep sea. In the space where his eyes were, there were two deep red glows that flickered. In his hand was a broad black sword, Krieg. He pushed open the metal gate to the cell and stepped in. He circled the cell, seemingly in search of something. Man, is he... It was an instant Will's messing with the stream, dude. Yeah. He's trying to make me lose the race. That's why the camera fell. Man, is he trying to find a particular prisoner? I'll definitely be discovered if this continues. Klein hesitated for a moment and wondered if he should leave the cell and search for a way out before the figure came close, or to sneak in an attack to finish the target in a clean swoop before continuing to huddle in the corner and await the end of the dream. After judging how much time had left to think, Klein quickly took off the topaz pendant off his left wrist and began divining with a voice that perhaps only he could hear. That night from before is very strong. After quickly repeating it 7 times, Klein opened his eyes to see the topaz pendant turning clockwise at a high frequency and large amplitudes. This means that the target was an extremely dangerous existence. Without any hesitation or time to hesitate, Klein used the beyond powers of a clown and controlled his muscles to pull open the metal gates without causing any additional stimulation. Then he took the opportunity when the black armored entity entered another cell to gently walk out in the corridor and rapidly headed left with his body crouched. In the immense darkness, as he listened for any commotion behind him, he maintained his stealthy and swift motions, quickly making a bend and arriving at the metal gate, which opened outwards. It looked like an exit. After attempting to push and pull, Klein discovered that the metal gates weren't heavy, but it had been locked. After 2 seconds of thought, he took out the key he picked up inside his cell, inserted it, and twisted it without holding out much hope. A light click of a latched opening sounded as the metal gates unlocked. That works. Although it's a dream, you can't just have it randomly pick up the key to be an important item. I originally planned on folding some papers to insert into the keyhole and repeatedly sliced at it bit by bit. Klein slowly pushed open the door as he lampooned while thinking in puzzlement. To his disappointment, what stood behind the metal gates wasn't the exit but a hall filled with junk. Closing the gate behind him and passing, he looked at it again and circled around the item and randomly strew around in a search for a possible door or depth. A few seconds later, he noticed an inconspicuous black wooden door in the corner. Therefore, he carefully approached it and reached out for a handle. The scene inside naturally appeared in his mind. It was a strong room, and on the right was a full-body armor. And to its right was a figure wearing a short-line robe. There's someone there. The escaped prisoner, having been forced to leave his comfort zone, Klein decided to hold of the divination in a limited fashion. Therefore, he gently twisted the handle and pushed open the black wooden door. He wanted to gather information of the general situation so as to determine where to engage in combat or flee at the critical moment in time. Who is it? The figure wearing a short linen robe hurried but softly asked. Its voice was filled with despair and pain, and eventually Klein succinctly answered. He had already used his night vision to discern the figure's looks. It was a man with a weathered face. He had wrinkles on his forehead and the corner of his eyes and mouth, but his hair waved raven black and lustrous. There wasn't a single strand of gray hair. His short linen robe was ancient and simple. His expression was distorted due to the pain. He rarely seen pure black eyes were filled with an unconcealed surprise and puzzlement. Adventurer, why would you be here? I maintained a certain distance from the man who was difficult to discern whether he was considered young or old. He stood by the entrance and looked at him. Before asking others, introducing yourself is a necessary form of politeness. As a faceless, he's just short of sizing him up before he had made him grasp the man's features. Apart from the discomfort hair and his wrinkles, he had an old, gruesome scar on his cheek. The man was startled as he worriedly glanced at the hall. It's best you close the door. We cannot be caught by the devil otherwise. The muscles on his face clearly twitched as though he had recalled something nasty. Devil, Klein murmured and extended his hand back to close the black wooden door. The man heaved a sigh of relief and smiled wryly. Wryly. I apologize. I was indeed impolite. My name is Leo Master. Did I say that right? Le Master? My name is Leo Master, an ascetic of a religious organization. A religious organization. From the looks of it, you aren't a devotee of any of the 7 deities. Klein discovered a problem with his choice of words. If he was an ascetic of one of the 7 deities, he could directly say he could have directly said it out loud. Even the high priest of the Church of the Sun and the bishops of the Church of Storms wouldn't come to blow the moment they met in such dangerous place. Leo Master said with a self-deprecating laugh, "That's right. I worship the original creator." The fuck? I worship the OG. Like, okay, now we're talking about the original, like the first one. The first one. I worship the original creator. That he's not the original. If he's omnipotent and omniscient, that's the OOG. There's a OOG, there's a TG, and then there's the OG. This is what's confusing me. He is an omnipotent and omniscient existence. Oh no, they're just saying he is, but like he's not that OO existence. The source of everything. Great. He is the beginning and the end. He is the God of all gods. This original creator. Okay, but the original creator and the omnipotent creator is the ASG, the ancient sun god. The ancient sun god is the one that has the title of OOG, omniscient, omnipotent. I guess that's what confused me. When they title the original creator, oh, he's also omniscient and omnipotent. I'm like, wait, I thought that was the ancient sun god. I thought he was omniscient and omnipotent. There are thank you, Hope. But yes, I get it. He's the original, like the beginning and the end. Like he is the one that started it all, and everything will eventually return to him. I got it all. Upon hearing how this person revered the original creator, Klein's first reaction was that it was the Twilight Hermit Order. Maybe. However, there are also some smaller denominations of the northern and southern continents. There's quite a number of people who believe in the original creator. Klein deliberated as he asked, "What's the name of that religious organization? How did you end up here?" Leo Master hesitated for a moment before saying, "To the far east of the Sonia Sea is where my lord sleeps. And that's where Jack and his dad got lost. His sacred mountain is hidden somewhere there." Okay, that sounds like a bridge to the Forsaken Lands. "I led a pilgrimage here in an attempt to witness his miracles to redeem myself. Perhaps is a necessary test. We were caught by that devil, and one by one we died. Later I seized the opportunity to escape the cell and hide here, awaiting for the devil's departure." Klein thought for a moment before saying, "Do you know of the name of that devil? What characteristics does he have?" Leo Master, shook his head and said in a somewhat puzzled manner, "I do not know his exact name, but many pilgrims seem to know him. They call him the Saint of Darkness?" Okay, that's new. Saint of Darkness, a demigod. Is this Leo Master's dream, or is it the demigod's dream? For the outcome of my divination, it's likely the latter. Otherwise, if it's likely the latter, it's the demigod's dream? It's likely that otherwise it wouldn't be that dangerous. Klein was about to continue asking which organization Leo Master was from and determine the beyonder powers of the Saint of Darkness when he suddenly noticed a full body mirror opposite of the ascetic through the corner of his eyes. In mysticism, mirrors were passages that connected hidden and unknown worlds. It easily brought about terrifying accidents. Therefore, Klein, who was in a dangerous dream, carefully walked out and planned on using the powers of the Priest of Light to destroy the item. "No, don't." Leo Master seemed to sense Klein's intentions as he cried out softly in horror. "Without it, I will immediately lie." Ah, Klein looked at the mirror again in puzzlement. Although the environment was abnormally dark, the mirror clearly reflected 2 figures. One of them was Leo Master with his numerous wrinkles and the raven black hair. The other was the thin-faced, black-haired, and brown-eyed German sparrow who wore a cap. At this moment, the German sparrow in the mirror slowly moved as his head, even though Klein didn't make any movements. He revealed a deep, sinister smile towards him. The mirror surface suddenly rippled as a hand reached out. With just a blink of an eye, German sparrow, who looked identical to him, crawled out of the mirror. Ugh, this is gross. What the fuck? With just blinking his eyes, the German sparrow, who looked identical to him, crawled out of the mirror. Ugh, oh my god. His face was tainted with an obvious sinisterness. Why didn't just sit with an obvious sinisterness? I know it's sinister, right? I've never said sinisterness. Sinister. Well, that's a hard one. Sinisterness due to the darkness cloaking it. How terrifying. Unfortunately, I don't look like German Sparrow. Therefore, you failed to scare me. If Zoe McGurry came out of the mirror, I might have been woken up out of fright. Klein calmly looked at his counterpart, raised his left hand, which was shrilled with layers of sunlight. The sinister German Sparrow smiled as he raised his left hand as well, making a darkness that was... That's sick. Look at that. One is light and one is dark. Making a darkness that was made up of magnificence and sinisterness surface on his glove. This corresponded to the powers of the Baron of Corruption, my clone. Klein's thought as he raised his... This is so sick. Like, you fight yourself? Like, you fight like an evil version of yourself? My clone, Klein thought as he raised his right hand expressionlessly. From out of nowhere, he held a short, milky white scepter in his palm, and its tip were embedded blue gems. See God Scepter? All right, there you go. Although his actions in the dream needed to abide by logic in order to achieve the desired effect, Klein suspected the illusionary world was unable to influence the mysterious space of the Grey Fog. Therefore, he attempted to simplify the ritualistic process and told himself that the Sea God Scepter was stored in a similar unique zone in the spirit world. He could retrieve it whenever he wanted. Okay, that's a good workaround. The outcome from his attempt delighted Klein. Indeed, the dream world was unable to differentiate between a unique zone in the spirit world and the space above the Grey Fog. It can't tell the two apart. With the premise of the Sea God Scepter belonging to him, the sealed artifact at the demigod level was retrieved. It really works, otherwise I'd have to engage in intense battle. Klein secretly heaved a sigh of relief. He similarly believed that the mirror was unable to replicate matters related to the Grey Fog. The sinister German Sparrow looked opposite him in a dazed state. He instinctively raised his hand, but his right palm was empty. Then he saw countless bolts of silver lightning shoot out, enveloping his hand, causing him to expand on paper figures substitute after another without being able to escape from the area. With a sizzling sound, a huge ball of lightning illuminated the cramped room, which provided no room for dodging. Following that German Sparrow from the mirror vanished. For some reason, Klein felt himself immediately turn serene, as though he had become a sage. He turned his head and looked at Leo Master again. What's the name of the religious organization you joined? Leo Master trembled as he answered. Fuck him. Fuck that order. Oh, wait, I'm sorry, I'm joking. He answered the Aurora Order. Aurora Order. Klein was stunned as he couldn't help but prick up his brows. At this moment, there was a... Wait, I'm sorry. I thought the Aurora Order believes... My people? The Aurora Order believes in the true creator. If he's part of the Aurora... If he's part of the Aurora Order, why does he believe in the original creator? Wouldn't he be like a blasphemer from his cult? One of Romero's brethren. My homies are everywhere. Look, they're like right down here somewhere. At this moment, there was a loud clanking outside. The locked gates that opened out had seemed to have been kicked open. Thump, thump, thump. I took my saliva. The heavy footsteps that sounded like drumming walking towards the corner seemingly discovered where Klein and Leo Master were hiding. Klein suspected the lightning storms from before had been sensed by the Saint of Darkness. There's no way of hiding. Klein held the sea scepter and kicked the black wooden door of the storage room open towards the Saint of Darkness. As the door tumbled, he clearly saw his target's appearance. The knight, who was wearing black full-body armor, had already raised up his visor at some point in time, revealing his deep, wrinkled face and some of his bright raven black hair, as well as the old scar of his cheek. He looked identical to Leo Master. Even the minute features were identical. The only difference were the deep redness that emitted from his eyes. Ew. Read and find out. Bet. Alright, we're gonna read and find out. Wait. Maybe they're confused just like me, you know? Yes, you know what? Thank you, Hope. Maybe they're confused just like me. Maybe they can't fully digest which one is which. They believe that the true creator is the original creator, which is a pure delusion. And that's why they're referring to it as omniscient and omnipotent. Wait a minute. That might be why they refer to him as omniscient, omnipotent. Okay, hold up. I'm kind of grasping this now. Hold up. This is the first time where I can clearly see, allegedly, where the delusion comes from one of the organizations in this series. I think. Okay, I think we're slowly grasping this. It is confusing, though. But, you know, that's the fun of it. Yeah, we'll find out, Romero. Anyone else telling you that is a lie? Trust me. All right, we'll see. We'll see what happens. Chapter 655. We updated everything? Yes. Okay, we're good. It's called Dream Analysis. Klein was alarmed. He instinctively turned his body to the side without exposing his back to Leo Master, who was trembling in horror in the storage room. He couldn't be certain that the prisoner wearing a short linen robe wasn't problematic. At this moment, the deep redness in the black armored knight, who had the same face as Leo Master, brightened drastically. He raised up the gloomy broadsword in his hand. Bam. With a step forward, he cleaved forward at the speed that Klein couldn't capture with his naked eyes. At the same time, Klein, who was standing to the side of him, subconsciously raised the sea scepter and made the blue gems at its tip light up simultaneously. There you go. Now we're going to gem out because it's a fight, okay? Just for a little bit. Sea God Scepter and made the blue gems at the tip of the light up simultaneously. Whoosh. A corporeal hurricane appeared out of thin air as it swirled around Klein, protecting him without the eye of the hurricane. Whoosh. The black streams of light carved its way over as layers after layers of strong winds dissipated, scattering every direction, causing the entire hall to tremble. Boom. Under the black broadsword, the hurricane produced an explosive boom and was reduced to surgical waves that flooded the entire region. It lifted up all the junk into the air. The intense collision clearly shook the dream as Klein felt his mind go adrift. He couldn't help but roll twice. Plop. He fell from his bed to the floor, the fall causing him to open his eyes. That Saint of Darkness is really powerful, or should I say that I've never used the Sea Scepter in the real world, so I'm unable to replicate its full might in the dream. Wait, it's still night. Klein suddenly noticed the problem. At this moment, the midday sunlight was beaming in from the windows. His awakening was due to intense struggle in the dream, not due to natural occurrence. That also meant that he needed to sleep immediately, otherwise he might very well disappear in the dark night, never to be found again. With that thought flashing in his mind, Klein pushed his right hand to the ground, flipping his body up as he flew towards his bed and laid himself down. Oh my god. Then he imagined the stacked spherical lights and quickly entered his dream. Wait, it sounds like the fight just ended. The fight just ended. Wait, the fight just ended. We'll just play this. All right, now he's going back to sleep. All right. All right, during this process, entered his dream. During this process, Klein swept his gaze to the window and vaguely saw the dark night outside. It was quiet and serene, without any sense of sincerity. Look at that, and the dream's over. Meanwhile, he vaguely felt that there was a fog encompassing the surface of the sea relatively far away. Amidst the fog, there was a cathedral composed of a rather ancient architecture. It was completely black in color. There wasn't a bell tower, and the top of it were pitch black ravens spiraling around it as though they were consecrating or lamenting over something. This cathedral had many buildings around it. There are ordinary two-story residences and simple wooden huts. There are bread shops with hanging signboards and grayish-white mills using water wheels for power. Pedestrians pass through the main streets and alleys with their figures flitting about, impossible to know of their actual situations. A mirage, a source of danger at night. All the people who disappeared had lost their minds and went somewhere. Klein woke up from his dream because he subconsciously considered the questions that he had accumulated. Following that, he forcefully made himself concentrate. He retrieved the Sea God Scepter from the spirit world's unique zones. He remembered that he was in intense battle with the Saint of Darkness just before he left his dream. The slightly dim golden light shone into Klein's eyes as if everything immediately turned bright. What he could see was no longer the tall knight dressed in black full-bodied armor, nor was it the Leo Master who was dressed in a short linen robe. Instead, it was facing a floor-to-the-ceiling window that faced the setting sun. The window was very clean and revealed an indescribable sense of purity under the sun's illumination. By the side of the window were tables with their original wooden colors and the high back chairs. Further away were the rows of bookshelves with all kinds of books placed on them. A library, a book repository. Every time I entered this dream, I will be placed randomly in a certain area. Klein carefully observed his surroundings and confirmed that it was temporarily safe without the so-called Saint of Darkness or the strange evil creatures. He held the Sea God Scepter as he first... That's cool. He's just holding it now when he's walking around. He held the Sea God Scepter as first came to the first floor to the ceiling window and looked at the environment outside. The first thing that he saw was an opulent building that covered the opposite mountain peak. The huge palaces, magnified steeples, and the towering city wall that all appeared frozen in the sunset. It was a visual spectacle. Even though it wasn't his first time seeing it, Klein still held his breath, quietly admiring the miraculous scenery for a few seconds. He then moved his gaze away towards the cliff. He saw the high walls of the black cloister and the withered trees besides the boulders, but as they were blocked, it was impossible to confirm whether Katlia remained in her original spot. Indeed, within a certain radius, it's not possible to leave this region. I'm deep inside the black cloister. Klein retracted his gaze and thought as he walked to the bookshelves. He temporarily didn't have the time to consider what happened between Saint of Darkness and Leo Master in his previous dream. This was because he needed to determine his current situation. When he arrived in the bookshelves, Klein discovered that the books placed on them had their own names. They weren't blurry and instinct like ordinary dreams. The spirituality of like Book of Charms, the flower within the heart, the true cosmos, and the inner universe. These are all books on mysticism. We can learn a lot from these. Klein carefully reached out and took out the Book of Charms. He quickly flipped through it and realized that he knew most of the content, but there was a small portion which he had never come into contact with. It can be confirmed that this isn't from my dream. Ooh, oh yeah, because you're sharing your dreams. Ma'am Hermits, the knowledge that pursues her and is injected into her has been conjured into this black cloister. Klein had no desire to explore. He should read all of this. Hold up. Klein had no desire to explore beyond where he was. He held the Book of Charms and he returned to the side of the floor to the ceiling window. He found a spot to sit down and began reading in a serious manner with the sunset's glow. He can still study even in dreams. As he lampooned, he took out a pen and paper as he wrote and drew. While he was engrossed in this, the light suddenly bloomed as blinding witness blanketed his vision. Klein naturally opened his eyes and felt warmth from the sunlight that shone inwards. I just read a few pages and planned to speed read it before using dream divination to recall them. Klein sat up frustrated. He felt like he had lost a good opportunity to study. This was because he couldn't determine if he would be randomly placed in the Black Cloister Library again. He straightened his hair, wore his cap, and went to the deck. As he observed his surroundings, he recalled the dream. That prison is likely inside the Black Cloister as well. Yes, it might be underground, the library. Yes, it might be underground. In other words, the Saint of Darkness and Leo Master are in a ruin nearby. It's no wonder that Will Ossipton told me not to attempt exploring the dream. Oh, because then you run into them. These places are really filled with danger. Why will the Saint of Darkness and Leo Master look identical? That dream was a little strange. Also, the full body mirror was very magical and sinister. It actually managed to clone a German sparrow. Upon recalling this, Klein began to find examples from his past experiences to confirm his thorough processes by comparison. This was called relying on experience. Soon he thought of something. He had once borrowed the mental terror candle in Backland and helped Father Utroski eliminate the past him, a character that was disassociated from his original self. Could it be that Leo Master is a Saint of Darkness from the Aurora Order? Due to certain Aurora Order, I'm sorry, I'm saying it wrong. Tongue twister. Due to certain reasons, he had split his personality, separating his good and evil sides. What? Due to certain reasons, he had split his personality, separating his good and his evil sides. That sealed in the dark prison is a reflection of his inner dream. That sealed and dark prison is a reflection of his inner dream. Aurora? Aurora. That's what I said. I go Aurora. Aurora. Got it. Aurora. Not Aurora. Got it. Due to certain reasons, yes, the full-bodied armor, Leo Master has said that if he was destroying it, he would vanish as well. When I looked into the mirror, that German sparrow inside it did form a corporeal body. It was evil. It's no wonder I felt a sage after eliminating that German sparrow in the mirror. It's because I got rid of my evil and sinister thoughts in my mind. Yes, that full-body mirror must have been in the form of the magic mirror in the real world. These rar. These waters clearly have the beyond remains of the visionary. It conjures many unreal and real monsters that can kill, and this belongs to spectator pathway. Therefore, being able to split good from evil, causing disassociated personalities, does make logical sense. Saint of Darkness, Leo Master is a higher-ranking member of the Aurora Order. He must originally be very evil, but that ruined or item stirred up his inverse side, which is the Rar Order, which is the good hidden deep in his heart. It caused a split personality. Hence, he is trapped somewhere nearby. Klein felt that he had a rough understanding of the truth to the matter and felt a little regret. Unfortunately, I'm unable to enter the same spot a second time. Otherwise, with the Sea God Scepter and Leo Master's good side, there's a high chance of defeating his evil side, the Saint of Darkness, and the damage dealt in the dream world would continue on in the real world. In that case, a good saint who understands the Rar Order would be born. It will make it easier to strike down on this cultist organization. Klein silently sat and turned halfway around and watched Anderson Hood walk out of the cabin. Where did you go in your dream? I didn't actually find you. The stronger hunter asked as though they were best buds. They're already best buds? Thank you for spamming that emoji, Richie. Thank you. Thank you guys for being members, by the way. Thank you guys. Klein secretly frowned as he asked, why should I be seeing with you? Damn! Why should I be seeing with you, brother? Anderson was taken aback. Shouldn't you return to the spot where you left the dream upon returning there again? There are other elements involved in the random appearance in the spots with particular radiuses. Something to do with my uniqueness. Klein realized the problem was a lot more complex than he had imagined. He said with some deliberation, I went elsewhere after entering the dream. Strange. Anderson frowned as though he was very puzzled. Without waiting for Klein to speak, he thought before speaking again. There's another strange incident. What? Klein asked cooperatively, Anderson surveyed his surroundings. Back when I was pretending to make a canoe in the hall last time, I heard the sounds of a door opening and the footsteps that came out from deep inside. But when I looked up, I found nothing. I originally thought that it was someone from the ship, but later it didn't seem like the case. All right. So sad saying the raw order slander? Never. We will never slander them. Crazy Mutations is the next chapter, 656. Someone opened a door deep in the hall of the murals and came out, a rampager or beyond creature who was nearby. Furthermore, it possesses the ability to act in dreams. After hearing Anderson's Hood's description, Klein began making logical speculations. As his thoughts whirled, he suddenly had a new idea. Could it be that the owner of the mysterious eyes had observed me and the deck? It's possible the mysterious person had been lurking on the ship the entire time and followed us into these waters. Then he'd have to sleep with the night falls, so he will appear in the dream world. Madame Hermit is completely unaware of his existence, or has she tactfully agreed to his actions, or he's a trump card that she wields, which is why she isn't afraid of the dangers in these waters. When taking on missions, no, that cannot be determined. At the very least, I can't determine that the person who opened the door deep inside the Hall of the Mirrors is the mysterious person on the ship. Klein looked at Anderson with a deep, gloomy look before asking, why does it seem unlikely? Back when Anderson Hood mentioned it, he originally suspected that the person who opened the door was a member of the future, but he later felt that it was unlikely. Anderson chuckled, easy when he sees the raw order. I know, I'm sorry, guys. Aurora. I'll just shut up, man. The more I say it, the more I'm like, man, I'm saying it wrong. Oh, man. It's possible the mystery. Oh, I just read this part. Or is he the trump card that she wields? Which is why isn't she afraid of the dangers in these waters when taking on mission? No, that can't be determined. At the very least, I can determine the person who opened the door deep inside the Hall of Mirrors is the mysterious person on the ship. Klein looked at Anderson with a deep, gloomy look before asking, why does it seem unlikely? Back when Anderson had mentioned it, he originally suspected that the person who opened the door was a member of the future, but he later felt that it was unlikely. Anderson chuckled. I visited every person on the ship in the dream, and I discovered that no one possesses the ability to act freely in that world except you. Unfortunately, I was pushing open the door outside back then. Klein said calmly. Anderson shrugged and said, I know, that's why I'm not suspecting you. These waters have dangers lurking everywhere. All sorts of unimaginable monsters are active here. Perhaps the person opening the door from before was Stone Giant from earlier, or a rotting dragon who dreamed of countless treasures. Ooh, that's kind of gross. By the way, thank you guys. We're like almost 30 of you guys here. Thank you. Thank you to the 20 of you here hanging out with me today on this beautiful Friday evening. Upon saying this, he leaned against the side of the ship and looked to the sea, which was bathing in golden sunlight. He smiled wistfully. I discovered that ever since I escaped the ship's sinking crisis brought about the storm, my bad luck has been decreased bit by bit. It's obvious that it's not fixed and wouldn't last forever. Look, I successfully swam on the island, and although I kept meeting with all kinds of bad luck, I managed to last until you arrived. Yes, I do attract monsters and did not make that stone giant appear, but didn't we easily resolve it? Also, nothing happened that despite me being on board for several hours. Doesn't that explain? Before Anderson could finish his statement, Klein coldly cut himself off. Shut up. Does this guy know to keep his words to a minimum when faced with a livid expression? I really want to beat him up. If it wasn't for the divination above the gray fog that said that you haven't mutated or have a big shot possessing you, then I would have already sunk you to the bottom of the sea. Yes, sequence 8 of the Hunter Pathway is Provoker. Yes, we know that. He must have easily digested the potion back then. From the bottom of his heart, Klein felt that the level of Anderson's provocation was far higher than the Nit's. Wait, so he's part of the Hunter Pathway. Then I have already sunk it to the bottom. Yes, sequence 8 of the 100 Pathways Provoker. He must have easily digested that potion back then. From the bottom of his heart, Klein felt that the level of Anderson's provocation was higher than Danit's. Okay. Is he going to be like Danit's number 2 now? Because we have another provoker. Without feeling frustrated, Anderson raised his arm and said with a rueful smile, fine, I'll shut up. Seeing how he wasn't providing him with any more clues about the individuals who opened the door in the dream world, Klein remained silent for a few seconds, suddenly turned around and walked into the cabin. He had discovered a huge oversight of something. Since Anderson, who's plagued with bad luck, was on that ship, this meant that the chances of them experiencing an incident would only increase exponentially. Therefore, he needed to make some preparations. Ooh, you're right. It's Friday the 13th. So, who's really the unlucky, Anderson or us? Because it's an unlucky day. After returning to his room, Klein walked. That's a good catch. I didn't even notice that. After returning to his room, Klein walked to the bathroom as he picked up a Zix copper whistle and Will Ossipton's paper crane. After setting up the ritual to summon himself, he brought Tinder to the sun brooch and the nightmare beyond her characteristics from above the gray fog into the real world. He didn't immediately switch out his equipped inventory, but he did place them inside his suitcase and besides the biological poison bottle. This way, even if danger suddenly struck, he would have a chance to adjust his inventory, and then he could make a selection based on the danger he faced. After doing all this, Klein felt significantly relaxed. He put away the other items and left the room for the deck, afraid that he would miss any signs of mermaids. Just as he walked out of the cabin, he saw Frank Lee crouched in a corner, looking shocked and dazed. What happened? Klein felt his heart skip a beat. He was afraid that something had gone wrong with the crazy crossbreeders experiment, causing everyone on the future to be embroiled in a terrifying biological disaster. I can see that happening. Frank shook his head in a daze. Didn't I mention about those little things before? They actually need to sleep for some time before they can grow and reproduce. In the end, what happened in the end? Klein's expression turned solemn. This made the strongest hunter Anderson, who was bragging about how many parts he had hunted to the audience around him without realizing the change in their eyes, sensed something as he curiously stopped his description and came over. The crouching Frank looked up and said, they just finished a large-scale reproduction stage and have even mutated. This is a miracle. And where have they gone? Are they still in the laboratory? Klein instinctively felt that this wasn't something good. Frank used 2 seconds to digest the problem as he rolled up his sleeves to show his hairy arms. He pondered the deck in front of him and revealed a smile. They have drilled inside and have seemingly reconstructed the future. Amidst the dual pondering something that seemed like the milk spewed out like a fountain from the deck, sprang frankly in the face. He licked the liquid by his lips and said in a pleasant surprise, the future has produced milk. At the same time, the pirates by the side of the ship pointed down at the cannons in horror. The cannons are spewing milk. This isn't specific. Klein nearly couldn't control the twitching of his facial muscles. Ever since he boarded the future and ever since the ship came to the ravine and began the descent, he felt that many of the things that had happened were extremely unscientific. Maybe. It even exceeded the confines of his mysticism knowledge. Anderson watched agape, nearly forgetting to inquire. He stomped his feet habitually and successfully saw another milk fountain spew out. Ugh. One thought after another flashed past Klein's mind, and he actually figured out a problem. He immediately looked at Frank Lee, asking in a deep voice, after your little things have infected the future, will it continue infecting people? While asking, Klein's right palm reached into his pocket. According to the situation, he selected the floating charm and prepared to fly into the air in order to escape the infection. I'm sorry, I forgot he has a floating charm? And you can just fly in the air? Frankly thought seriously for a moment. In theory, yes. Before he finished the sentence, a figure appeared and kicked him in the ass, sending him tumbling a few times, slamming into the pools of milk. That person was none other than the linen-shirted Nina, who was draped in a blue jacket. She glared angrily at Franklin on the deck as she cursed while hyperventilating. Aren't you going to finish off these darn little things of yours? Did you do this while thinking that my breasts aren't big enough? All right. Frankly patted his ass and said unwittingly. At this moment, Klein had already taken off his charm and softly chanted storm. He believed that he had understood Frankly's ability to cause trouble and suspected that the disaster brought about by him would only worsen. Therefore, he decided to first fly into the air. Blue flames enveloped the charm and made of thin as squalls immediately stirred. They swirled around Klein's feet and boldly lifted him off the deck at a height of 4 to 5 meters. That's crazy. Anderson was first taken aback before he reached out his palm in an attempt to grab Klein, but he was a moment too late. All he could do was watch German Sparrow rise up as he remained standing on the spot. This ordinary handsome... Ordinary handsome hunter shook his head with a warmed expression, somewhat amused while he also wanting to dismember the first mate of the future. At this moment, Frank had already taken a bottle of dark green powder. He grabbed a handful of it as he chanted in Jotun. He scattered it around his surroundings. I'm sorry. The moment the powder made contact with the deck, it immediately produced green vines and grew wildly. Soon, it drew out milk, and the little things entangled the entire deck and cabin within. And just about the 10 seconds, the future had been reduced into a forest of vines. I'm sorry. What? Phew, it's over. Frank smiled at Nina before his expression changed again. They've mutated. At this moment, a pyre walked over and staggered, shouting with a teen horror, "A watermelon is growing from my head?" Dude. A watermelon is growing from my head. Klein looked towards the voice and saw a green vine drilling out of the pirate's head. One of them seemed to bruise a soon-to-ripen watermelon. This is the so-called mutation. This is way too crazy. Goddamn madness. Anderson blurted out a sigh. His eyes then darted around and said in a deep voice, "There's something wrong with the surrounding waters." In mid-air, Klein had also determined the same thing. If there weren't any extreme disruptions, then Frankly's experimental products in the Beyond Powders would have caused a simultaneous mutation. Rip. One vine after another tore apart and the window to the captain cabins opened. Cat Leah appeared there and shouted in an amplified voice with which Frank, stop all experiments. There are remnant auras of Earth. Oh, it's enhancing it. There are remnant auras of Earth Mother here? Earth Mother. Klein looked in surprise at Mam Hermit, and he felt that his theories about these waters being the battlefields of the gods had been completely overturned. Oh my merciful mother. Frank crossed his arms and made a pose that he was hugging a baby. Following that, he sprawled on the floor as he devoutly kissed the vines. Cat Leah silently watched the scene as the resplendent stars instantly swirled around her. Following that, she made the entire future light up. With a flick of her finger, she made a colorless flame land on the vine outside the window of the captain's cabin. The vines were immediately ignited as they silently turned to ash. Alright, that easy. Damn. The colors of the flames silently spread and wreaked havoc without harming a single sailor. As a feature, the light is producing helped it within the fire. Before long, the force of the vines vanished completely, leaving behind the pirate who had a watermelon growing on his head. Of course, the vine that was connected to it had been burned to nothingness. Phew, this is no different from a devil's descent. The pirate took 2 steps forward and carried the watermelon which had grown out from his head. Don't open it. Just as Ketlia warning reverberated, the pirate had opened the watermelon with brute force, partly to vent his anger and partly to satisfy his curiosity. The watermelon split into 2, and inside it was a milky white brain filled with gillies. Ugh. Falling around it was a blood-like liquid. This is gross. With a thud, the pirate died immediately without any chance of saving him. The beyond characteristics of him rapidly condensed at an extraordinary speed. How sinister and crazy. Klein sighed silently and prepared to land back on the deck. At that moment, he saw gigantic palms suddenly reach out from the surface of the sea, smacking the side of the future. Like that? The 5 fingers of the palm were long, each almost half a meter long. The entire ship was grayish-black color in an arid desert. Klein silently drew out a gasp as he couldn't help but look at Anderson Hood. This fellow had just mentioned that nothing had happened since he came on board. That's a wild-ass scenario, dude. All right, next chapter. Chapter 657. Terrifying Vitality. The grayish-black hand grabbed the side of the ship and quickly hoisted it up, revealing the submerged parts inch by inch. Through the blue water waves, Klein saw a huge grayish-black shadow following that squirming flesh occupied the entire vision. The monster seemed to be an amalgamation of the countless blackening of the graying corpses. Attached to the 2 gigantic palms were withered-looking arms that resembled dry timber. The arms stemmed from a corpse that was suspected to be from a giant. This giant's single eye was shut tightly as a few heads were stuck to its neck. Any further down, these heads were a complete scaly fish, lizard bodies, or warped human corpses. Layer after layer, they formed flesh and approached like a floating island. From the different corpses and the connections of the crevices, a yellow-green gas was emanated and spread to its surroundings as though it was enveloping the entire area. Cough, 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 cough. 4 coughs. 3 coughs, 4 coughs. Yeah, sorry, we were loading for a sec. Upon seeing the scene, Frank Lee didn't hesitate to take out the materials inside a hidden pouch on his belt. He showcased his corresponding beyond powers, but to his surprise, Catlea's voice rang in his ears. Frank, stop. Help Nina command the sailors to get them to adjust the sails. Why? Frank Lee subconsciously asked in return. In this area, the supernatural matters within the authority of the Earth Mother will mutate, including your powers. As Catlea spoke, she extended both her palms forward and pressed down in a particular spot on her deck. The symbols and the magical labels of the future immediately became more pronounced as they lit up one after another, conversing the entire ship into a resplendent sea of stars. They seemed to respond to each and every point of the starlight that swirled around Catlea's body. The spread yellowish-green gas was kept out as Klein began floating towards the window of his room from the closet door. The coughing parts felt alleviated, and under the lead of the boatswain Nina and first mate Frank, as well as the instructions of Otto, they quickly adjusted the sails and attempted to make the future escape from the nearby waters in order to escape the influence of the mutation effects. By the way, dude, there's like almost 40 guys here. Thank you. However, the grayish-black colossal monsters had held back the front of the ship, and the body beneath the water had connected to unknown parts of the ship in order to hold the feature, preventing it from advancing forward. At the same time, formless tall mountains seemed to appear around them, blocking out the sea winds that blew from afar, preventing the feature from using its strength no matter how it adjusted its sails. Faced with a situation, there's a need to use a backup steam engine system. Unfortunately, the feature lacks it. Yes, it can still fly with the help of the starlight that seems to be extremely drained of the Mam Hermit. Besides, it will be difficult to grasp the direction of the distance it brings us. To make such a flight in such waters, there's a high chance of entering a more dangerous zone without being blessed with good luck. There's still the extremely unlucky Anderson on board. Klein floated by the window in his room as he took the situation. He wasn't nervous, as neither Admiral of Stars Catlea nor the strongest hunter Anderson had showcased their true strengths. Of course, that included me as well, Klein added inwardly. He planned on first returning to his room and wearing tinder without any food around. Using such a mystical item was more suitable than creeping hunger. The latter was just to be reserved for him when he was faced with more dangerous and complicated situations, before throwing it above the gray fog to cool it down. As for the negative effects of losing items on him, Klein had already had a plan. He decided to put in his wallet a Zig's copper whistle, the adventure harmonica. In his wallet? Oh wait, he decided to put in his wallet a Zig's copper whistle, the adventure harmonica, and the other items in his suitcase. Okay, in his suitcase. I was like, that's a pretty good wallet if you can fit all this shit in there. When changing his inventory, leaving Creeping Hunger, Murloc, Cufflink, and the charms from the Sea God domain, he would then keep close watch on the latter two to prevent them from being lost. And from a probability standpoint, the most likely item to be lost by Tinder would be the charms, since they were the greatest in numbers. Klein wasn't worried about this. He had created charms with different effects. They were highly disposed. Besides, the corresponding metal in the storm domain is thin. It's very cheap and worth nothing. The beyond effects are bestowed by the Sea God Scepter, so I don't have to spend any additional money. As Klein mumbled, he'd reached out to push open the window in his room. In this moment, the colossal grayish black monster, which was a combination of flesh, climbing higher again. With its approach, the busy sailors had their hair grow whitely to the point of exceeding their waists. This wasn't the most terrifying outcome. It was more harrowing than the blob of flaxen colors. Hair seemed to have a life of its own. They were interwoven and bind themselves to their owners. As the hair began to produce similar changes, the lesser sea of the stars on the surface of the future could no longer hold back this influence. To a number of pirates who had shaved themselves bald, their uniqueness didn't bring them luck either. Their nose hair would rapidly grow at a discernible pace, blocking their nasal passageways. Ugh. By the window of the captain's cabin, Catlea had raised her arms at some point in time. In her head was a scroll made of smooth fish skin. Numb, as this incantation in ancient Hermes resounded while the scroll burned in silence, a light green luster shot from within, striking the monster's gigantic palm that appeared by the side of the ship. The squirming flesh formed from countless corpses didn't pause at all. It slammed down the lustrous sea stars, sending sparks flying while the ship trembled. The dark purple color in the depths of Catlea's eyes deepened. She didn't take out a new scroll, as she instead directly pushed her right palm forward. In prison. When the mysterious incantation came out of the pirate's admirable mouth, the resplendent starlight that swirled around her flew out, descending upon the terrifying monster. The starlight instantly converged, creating a gigantic, transparent amber, and enclosed all of the squirming flesh and bounded to where it was. At this moment, a pitch black and lustrous short sword appeared in the strongest hunter Anderson's right hand. On the surface of it was a layers of diabolical patterns, but they were only... it's only an illusion. Seizing the opportunity of having the terrifying monster trapped in the starlight cage, Anderson's body produced a layer of blinding white flames. This is sick. We're going to change the music because this sounds like a pretty cool fight. Then the flames flew forward, leaping out of the ship and landed on the grayish-black flesh, which was formed from countless corpses. Ugh. Following that, the blinding white flames rapidly followed across the monster's surface as it was engulfed in painting an extreme piece of artwork. With a boom, the flames surged in the sky as Anderson jumped back on the deck with his pitch-black sword. This is cool, dude. The colossal monster remained frozen in its place as though it had lost all its vitality. Crack, crack, crack. Deep wounds appeared on the surface, shattering its countless... Let me loop the song. Shattering into countless pieces of flesh in just a second. A Reaper's offensive strength is truly exaggerated. Klein, who had redone his inventory, returned to the side of the window to see the scene. Suddenly, he frowned indiscriminately. He truly is the strongest hunter. At this moment, something unexpected happened. The fractured piece of flesh spread out their limbs. The fractured piece of flesh spread out their limbs, shooting towards the deck in a barrage of attack. Ah, that's so gross. The fractured pieces of flesh spread out their limbs, shooting towards the deck in a barrage of attacks. This colossal attacher seemed impossible to kill no matter how many pieces it was divided into. The number of pieces determined the number of monsters. So, like, no matter how much you cut it. Suddenly, a piece of grayish-black flesh facing the captain's cabin jumped up from the deck, heading straight for Admiral Stars in a bid to wrap around her head. A figure surfaced from the darkness and shielded Catleya. It was none other than the bloodless Heath Doyle. He opened his mouth as they cracked open all the way from his nose to his chest. Soon, he formed a squirmish vortex of flesh and blood. The vortex sucked at the grayish-black flesh and rapidly swirled, inwardly pulling it inside. Heath Doyle landed on the deck like a shadow. After waving a little, he finally recovered it. As for the grayish-black flesh that had splinted off from the monster, it had completely dissipated. The most terrifying part of the monster is its ridiculous vitality. If only this trait can be stolen, that'd be good. Having used another floating charm, Klein floated out of the window. He reached out of his black-gloved right hand and spread his fingers. The scene before him changed the result. Blobs of different gorgeous colors replaced the corresponding people and items. These colors kept changing as they rapidly twinkled, making it difficult for anyone to grasp the rules that follows. With the help of his vision, Klein discovered that the grayish-black flesh shared some of his luster. Although it was splinted, it was actually one. Calmly, he clenched his right fist, grabbed the blob of light, and turned his wrist to the right. Suddenly, Klein saw the yellowish-green luster being drawn away, fusing into his right palm. This was the corresponding trait of the fog of poison. He had stolen the grayish-black monster's... Oh, he stole the fog of poison. This was Tinder's effect. At the same time, Klein discovered that his damage transfer beyond her power was lost. Oh, because when you lose something. Yes. You lose something. And you... Wait, no. I was thinking of the book that Force had. My bad. Like, when you use an ability, you lose it. Wait, why did he lose damage transfer? Is that because of the... Is that one of Tinder's side effects? That's one of its negative effects, correct? With some level of... Wait, he lost. He no longer had it. I can only steal from the same target once every 12 hours. With some level of realization, Klein looked at the surrounding... I forgot its negative effects. Yes? Okay, so... Okay, it's like Force. Like, when you use it, you lose one thing, but you only... Okay. So he's losing one of his abilities when he gains an ability. I forgot that was one of Tinder's negative effects. Tinder's makes you lose a beyond power. Got it. I forgot that was the negative effect. Without some level... No? With some level of realization, Klein looked at the surrounding feature. The yellowish-green fog, which corresponded the resplendent sea of stars, rapidly thinned and no longer looked obvious. The grayish-black flesh scattered everywhere also showed signs of desiccating and darkening. With that, the pirates found a chance to catch their breath. As for Catleya, she wore a golden brooch out of front of her classic robe. The brooch seemed to be made of gold, and it was sharp like a bird with a long, feathered tail. The surrounding atmosphere suddenly turned stayed and serene. All the chaos and anxiety vanished in a baffling manner. Even Klein sensed the indescribable influence and felt that he had become an emotionless zombie. Seeing how the critical moment was at hand, a ship came cruising over. It was also a sailboat and was equally large. Its hull was mainly dark and had a ghostly green to it. He will lose an ability for 12 hours. Just one ability per 12 hours. Its ghastly pale mainsail drew a blooming pitch-black tulip. It was the flagship of the Admiral Hell, the Black Tulip. It was a ship that frequently plied these waters. Nah, this is a good-ass... Why is this chapter called 55,000 pounds? Wait, one sec. Chapter 658 is called 55,000 pounds. The Black Tulip, Admiral Hell Ludwell. This is jumping out of the frying pan and into the fire. Aren't we a little too unlucky? Floating in midair, Klein was the first to discover the approaching ship. He couldn't help but turn his head to look down at Anderson, who was wielding his pitch-black sword and seriously observing the monster. Anderson quickly returned to gaze in puzzlement as he remained wary of the grayish-black flesh, which could shoot out at any moment. He asked, "The look you are giving me is very strange. Does something happen again?" Just as he said that, he reflectively shut his mouth and sensed something. Ooh. With a leap, he dodged the monster's splintered body, which was making his fingernails rapidly glow. He quickly arrived at the other side of the ship. As he straightened his back, Anderson suddenly hissed, "Admiral Hell." Admiral Hell, brothers. He was a good person. With the name Hell, he sounds evil, but we'll see. I thought it said he was a good person. No, it says he wasn't a good person. Okay, that's what I'm thinking. He wasn't a good person. As a pirate admiral who was infamous for killing indiscriminately, he didn't have any psychological burdens when it came to earning profit by fishing in troubled waters. Once he weighed the situation and realized that he could use a powerful monster to finish off Admiral Stars and everyone on the future while also receiving tremendous spoils of war, he would definitely take action. My bad luck hasn't decreased at all. It has only switched to a lump of some withdrawal. Anderson's expression warped. It was a mystery on whether he was crying out laughing. At the same time, the score-bonding information surfaced in Klein's mind. Just the bounty placed on Admiral Hell's Ludwell's head by Lowen and Lowen had reached 55,000 pounds. He was an extremely powerful member of the 7 pirate admirals, the one with the highest bounty among the 7 pirate admirals. His flagship, the Black Tulip, didn't have many pirates living on it. Most of the jobs were left to undead creatures or the spirit world creatures he controlled. He killed indiscriminately, but he didn't have a sick fetish for killing. All he did was seriously complete his job of sending living creatures to hell. He had all kinds of connections with the numinous episcopate. The rumors state that he possesses a ring left behind by the ancient death. While Klein and Anderson were looking at the Black Tulip, the golden brooch of Catlea's robe began to emit a pure, bright light instead of blinding sunlight. In front of the captain's cabin was a blurry figure that was rapidly increased in length. It was filled with the silence and serenity of a specter's aura, but it also emitted a warm, resembling sunlight. This was an extremely incongruent existence. It was as though a wraith had just been created out of the sun and holy water. It was both holy and evil. The sand wraith widened its arms as it flew out of ludicrous speeds and hugged the grayish black flesh. The sizzling sounds of fat and oils, burning sounds out. The sun wraith and the grayish black flesh canceled each other as they were simultaneously obliterated, leaving no trace behind. The dark... You guys really like Anderson from what I'm seeing. The sun wraith widened its arms as it flew out at ludicrous speed and hugged the grayish-black flesh. The sizzling sound of fat and oils burning sounded. The sun wraith and the grayish-black flesh canceled each other out as they were simultaneously obliterated, leaving no trace behind. The dark purple hue in the Admiral Star's eyes flowed as the brooch brightened, and they quickly produced another sun wraith outside the window of the captain's cabin as it pounced towards the grayish-black flesh that had invaded the future. At this moment, Bloodless Heath Doyle protected Frank, Nina, and the other sailors. He used the devouring and the digesting method in order to resist the monster's flesh, which possessed immense vitality. The Black Tulip's speed was faster than Klein had anticipated. In seconds, it had entered a range, which was causing alarm for the future. The black sailboat was a gloomy green, slowed down and stopped to the side. It didn't seem to be aware of what had happened. Suddenly, Klein saw a nearly transparent ice surface around the future's airspace. It had ghastly pale whites as it looked down from above without blinking. This is a spirit medium's version of a telescope. After a momentary pause, Klein drew his revolver and his right hand aimed at the eye that belonged to a spirit world creature. At this moment, he was somewhat hesitant, as the crazy German sparrow to directly fire the choice that matched his persona the best. But at this moment, Admiral Ludwell had yet to show any signs of animosity. He might have qualms about the faction backing Catlea and hold back. If Klein were to rashly kill the telescope, it would undoubtedly push the situation into the direction of more chaotic and dangerous development. Okay, good for him. During the brief dilemma, the nearly transparent and illusionary eyes vanished. A distance away, the Black Tulip continued approaching as it became clearer and clearer. High above the Black Tulip, white skeletons who didn't wear clothes or leather armor busily controlled the sails while What the fuck? They're the ones like controlling the ship. Busily control the sails while pale zombies patrol the area with cutlasses in hand. The latter were observing the surroundings with green burning eyes. Shadows, wraiths, and all sorts of strange spirit world creatures were flying in circles, boring through the ship at times as the ship protruded transparent faces that weren't too obvious. This is such a sick ass fight, dude. Dude, this is like straight up Pirates of the Caribbean, but like on crack. This shit is wild, dude. Amidst Kevin's spirit vision, the Black Tulip only had one living person. It was a man dressed like a captain. Oh, he's a captain. Who was silently standing on deck. He wore an exaggerated triangular hat with a white skull and feathers on it. He wore a lace-trimmed white shirt and a heavy and magnificent brown coat. The ox-hide belt, which held his white tights, had a thin rapier hanging off it. The man wore a silver mask. He's wearing a mask? The man wore a silver mask. His facial features and contours were hidden within. The holes that depicted his eyes, nose, and mouth had cold lines that left one shrouded. This matched the rumored images of Admiral Ludwell. Where are his first mate, second mate, third mate, and boatswain? Klein was first surprised at the lack of the living person of the Black Tulip before quickly coming to a realization. Just like how the third mate, the gunner commander, and the many other sailors of the feature were sent to the other ships of the pirate crew, only the minimum numbers of personnel were under the use to enter these waters. Admiral Ludwell didn't let his weak subordinates follow him. After all, he could control the undead and spirit world creatures to steer the ship. At this moment, the Black Tulip clearly turned around and aimed at its starboard side over. As Admiral Ludwell touched his silver mask, a salvo of shots rang out. Cannonballs flew over, some failing into the sea before they came close, producing splashes. Others overshot and fell somewhere even further away. This was a calibration shot. Soon the Black Tulip produced the second volley of bombarding cannon fire. Klein was just about to activate Creeping Hunger and use the Burn of Corruption's distortion powers to change the target of cannonballs, sending them further away when he saw Anderson Hood raise his right hand and push it forward. Orange-yellow fire ravens instantly condensed as he accurately flew out and intercept each and every cannonballs. Boom, boom, boom. Blinding flames were emitted in midair as debris scattered. It was as though dozens of fireworks were set on display. I have to say that the pyromaniac's powers are very useful. At sea, it's a mystic version of ballistic missiles defense system. However, this is because Anderson is the strongest hunter and has already reached sequence 5. Shh. Hey, thanks. You're gonna make me blush, dude. You're gonna make me blush, Wiz. If it were the Nits, there's no way he could have blocked them all. It would be pretty impressive if he could trigger half of them. Sigh, when I use flame controlling, I can only deal with one cannonball at a time. As Klein sighed, the Black Tulip ceased in the bombardment and changed its speed again, closing the gap between it and the feature. As it approached the surface of the sea between the two gigantic sailboats, which was dyed with golden sunlight, rapidly turned black. It didn't look like ink, but the darkest night without any moon or stars, translucent and illusory. Ferocious creatures crawled out of this dark sea. I cannot read. Mission accomplished. I go now. Mission failed. We'll get up next time. Not kidding. All kinds. Oh, I lost my place. Pale corpses reach out of their palms, which has rotten flesh dangling from them as dark red and cold flames emerged, forming pairs of eyes. Suddenly, the area seemed to turn into the entrance to hell. All kinds of undead creatures floating on the surface of the sea in the dense numbers as they changed forward like an unending tidal wave. Anderson looked back at the sun rays, which were obliterating the grayish-black flames, and he knew that Admiral Stars was at a critical moment in dealing with a terrifying monster. All he could do was draw a gasp and look up at German Sparrow with a bitter smile. Just as he was about to press his hands onto the shipboard, the creature's scarlet flames that spread outwards to prevent the invasion of the undead army, he was surprised to see German Sparrow turn around and fly back to his cabin. He fled. No way. Anderson's expression clearly froze. He grimaced as he hurriedly leaned forward with an extended palm to press onto the shipboard. Silently, a swath of scarlet flames soared into the sky and swept the area ahead of him. At this moment, a charm suddenly fell in front of him as he had a word spoken in ancient Hermes. Storm, huh? Anderson instinctively looked up and saw German Sparrow in his round neck shirt and brown jacket being swept up by a squall as he rapidly flew towards the Black Tulip. Is he committing suicide? I can't understand such madness. Anderson turned to gape and felt puzzled. Whoosh, with the charm's effect as the blessing of the winds, Klein flew to the airspace above the bow of the Black Tulip. Admiral Ludwell immediately looked at him, and the eyes behind the silver mask burned silently with two pale white flames. The shadows raced, and the spirit world creatures of the death domain were spiraling above the black tulip, immediately swarming towards the enemy. They either opened their mouths, letting out silent screeches, or extended their long tongues with shrunken face, as though they were extremely excited. Klein looked at them with a deadpan expression as he reached into his pocket with his left hand, releasing the wall of spirituality on a skirmish box. Then he took out a Zix copper whistle, which was tied to a few matchsticks, and threw them at the deck of the black tulip stern. Suddenly, the translucent cold and indistinct shadows in the race paused. It was as though they were frozen worms. I understood that reference, worms. Okay. Following that, they didn't hesitate to turn their bodies to rapidly fly to the stern black tulip. The strange-looking spirit world creatures followed closely by. In less than a second, the skeletons and zombies who were adjusting the cannons betrayed Admiral Hell. They betrayed him? The bow was left completely empty except for Lidwell. Klein landed on the deck while pressing down on his cap, landing right before Lidwell. Shit, dude. The pirates got on board. His body was bent slightly as he released the right hand on his cap. His gaze looked out of the silver mask Admiral Hell. Damn, dude. Like, how did we get here? This is so sick. Oh, the whistle. You're right. Undead whistle. I forgot that. Thank you. Okay, let's keep reading. Damn, that was sick. All right, next chapter. How's the music? It's not too low, too loud. Like, is the music just right, or like how are we feeling? Chapter 659 is called "This Beyond Our Power." This beyond our power is very powerful. On the future, Anderson Hood pressed his hands on the shipboard and saw the undead arm in the pitch black seas recede like the tide. They rushed over one after another and surged from the stern of the black tulip. It's a little low. Okay, I can probably turn it up like a smidge. All right, this beyond our power is very powerful. On the future, Anderson Hood pressed his hands on the shipboard and saw that the undead arm in the pitch black sea receded like the tides. They rushed over one after another and surged the sterns of the black tulip. He saw German Sparrow press his cap with his right hand while descending from the sky before landing opposite Admiral Hell Ludwell. Such a sheen was illuminated by the dark red or gloomy green light, with the accentuated from the wraith shadows and all sorts of strange spirit world creatures. There was an indescribable sense of beauty. Cool, as expected of the craziest adventure, Anderson praised from the bottom of his heart before recalling something. German Sparrow had apparently thrown a charm in front of him before flying over. Furthermore, he had specifically demonstrated the incantation to activate the charm. His intent is, Anderson Hood moved his gaze down and discovered a charm made of tint at his feet. On the black tulip, Klein, whose body was slightly bent while his eyes were locked out on his enemy, wasn't actually cold and calm as his expression depicted. Anderson's better fly over with the charm. There's a high chance that I can't deal with him alone. It might be very dangerous. While his eyes reflected the silver mask and the two pale white flames, Klein silently prayed. As the mysterious eyes that observed the deck had himself existed, as well as the door opening in the dream world which Anderson Hood had mentioned, he cautiously gave up the idea and immediately prayed to himself in order to use the sea god scepter above the great fog to respond to. He also warned himself not to expose such matters unless he was in dire straits. He believed that creeping hunger and tinder together with various beyond powers of magicians and the charms of the sea god domain gave him the ability to fight Admiral Hell Ludwell. No shot, dude. As for a Zix copper whistle, it could attract the undead creatures or spirit world creatures that were inclined to death's domain. I forgot about that. That's why they all left, right? It could neutralize the most powerful means of a powerful spirit medium for a sequence 5 beyonder of the death pathway. As long as it didn't exceed certain numbers, one would often choose to overwhelm their enemies with numbers when facing a certain number of mid-sequence beyonders. However, Klein didn't believe that he alone could defeat Ludwell in such a situation or even kill him. Firstly, the battlefield would be held on the Black Tulip. Considering how Admiral of Stars could use the future, anyone with a brain knew that such a situation wasn't optimistic. Secondly, Ludwell was the most senior pirate admiral at the moment. He had the two powerful factions, that King of the Five Seas and numinous Episcopate, backing him. The mysterious items and the sealed artifacts he might not be any weaker than Klein's, or might even exceed his. In addition, the many rumors indicated that he possesses a ring that were left behind by the ancient death. Along the fact that his sequence was lower than Admiral Hall, Klein was not only lacking in the adrenaline of a pending successful hunt or performing great acting in the role of a crazy adventurer, but he was also tense and anxious. He didn't dare to be careless. All he wished was the strongest hunter who was plagued with bad luck would quickly fly over. Only when two people were equivalent strength allied together could they have a small chance of defeating or resisting Ludwell, who had lost his undead army. It also gave Katlia and her pirates time to space to finish off the pieced together monster. Just as his thoughts flashed across his mind, Klein didn't hesitate to launch an attack. He made the fog of poison which he stole was tinder spread. No one could see the uneasiness and worry in his heart. Wearing an exaggerated triangular hat and silver mask, Ludwell raised his clenched left fist, spread his fingers, and aimed his palm at Klein. Instantly, the deck of the blow was enveloped by a harrowing yellow-green fog, and in front of Ludwell, an illusory glow exploded. Following that, a point of spiraled and collapsed inwardly outlined a blurry bronze door, whose two sides swung open. Following that, a point spiraled and collapsed inwardly outlined a blurry bronze door whose two sides swung open. The bronze door was covered in all sorts of mysterious patterns. It had an indescribable heaviness and silence to it. With a creak, the door shook and cracked open a little. Behind the gap was endless darkness, as though it was in the deepest and darkest night. Damn. This, I know, dude. How the fuck is he fighting an admiral, bro? This is so... And he's like... He's not even a marionnettist yet, bro. Like, this is literally still him at faceless. Behind the gap was endless darkness, as though it was the deepest and darkest night. Indescribable pair of eyes were hidden in the darkness behind the door. They were densely packed in everywhere, but it was impossible to discern their actual bodies. Skinless arms covered in blood, along with greenish-black vines with baby faces. Strongest admiral? He's the strongest admiral? Shit, they did say that. Yeah, my bad. Not from the four kings. Yeah, my bad. Not the four emperors. Yeah, for admirals, they did say he was pretty up there. Like, he had all these crazy ass items that aid him. This brought a terrifying suction. Wait, I lost the part where it said babies. It was impossible to discern their actual bodies. Wait, I lost my place. With baby faces reached out, palms with mouth filled with teeth grabbed at everything beyond the door as they screamed, laughed, sobbed, yelled. This brought a terrifying suction force out of nowhere. Cold hurricanes that sent chills down the bones stirred, pushing objects towards these strange creatures, and it gave to the bronze door. The yellowish-green fog of poison was instantly cleared as Klein couldn't help but lean forward as he stumbled. The glove on his left palm immediately turned pitch black, and it had the sinister feel of the night and the granular of the cosmos. Klein's brows eyes darted as he spread out his left arm to the side in a gesture of politeness. The terrifying suction force that swept the boat deck suddenly changed directions, grabbing the skeletons and rotating zombies that were rushing to the stern, and it threw them into the gap of the door. They were bounded by the greenish-black baby-faced vines and the bloody arms that were pulled behind the door, where the countless eyes were distortion, barren of corruption, distortion. Klein had distorted the target of the mysterious door, and he used the skeleton and zombies of the black tulip to suitable himself. Despite that, he was still affected by the remnant forces of the tremendous suction force. He found it difficult to take a step, preventing him from fully making use of his nimble and agile traits. The cap he wore had already been blown up by the hurricane and was spinning in midair. It seemed to take flight as it pursued the undead creature that had been sucked away. At this moment, Admiral Ludwell, who wore his exaggerated triangular hat, raised his right hand again and again, extended his palm. The right side of his upper body rapidly turned illusionary, as though it belonged to that of a spectator or wraith. His arm kept extending and instantly covered quite a significant distance as his pale palm grabbed at his enemy. Whoosh. The nose from the hurricane suddenly vanished as soft sobbing sounds drilled into Klein's ears, causing his body to turn numb as though his blood had frozen. As the pale palm approached, he seemed to be possessed by a wraith or evil spirit. He couldn't produce an effective response as he watched death approach. In despair, he felt that his vitality depleted it at an increasing rate. Without any resistance, Ludwell's pale and illusory right palm grabbed at Klein and squashed him into a thin paper figurine. The paper figurine was covered with signs of dark green corrosion. Soon it was shredded to dust under the hurricane that never stopped. To the side of the bronze door, Klein's figure surfaced again. His left glove had already been dyed with the color of the pure sunlight. He immediately straightened his body and spread out his open arms. Golden flames swirled around a pillar of the holy light that descended from the sky, striking the bronze door, which was covered in the mysterious patterns. Sunlight suddenly burst open. It was so blinding that it made it almost impossible for Klein to open his eyes. As for the terrifying door which Ludwell had created, it had begun shaking and turning slightly blurry. Even the extraordinary suction force from behind the door had weakened. More than half the greenish black baby faces, vines, and the bloody arms were vaporized. Oh, only half. However, even more strange arms and distorted creatures attempted to squeeze out from the opening in the door. This is so gross. This is Klein was about to continue using the priest of light's light of purification to purify the bronze door. Ludwig's pale palm swiped down wildly. Klein, like, I'm sorry, where's Cat Leah in this whole situation? I got lost in the sauce. What happened with Cat Leah? Why isn't she involved in this admiral fight? Is she not an admiral? Yeah, no, Klein has come a far way. Where is she in this fight? I'm lost. I'm lost in the sauce. What happened to her? Is she still stuck in the captain's cabin fighting the monster, bro? Bro was too. I'm too locked in. I forgot where's Cat Leah. Cat Leah's fighting the other monster. Okay, I was caught slacking. Yes, so Cat Leah is fighting the other monster with Anderson. Right? She is getting German Aura. She is letting German Aura farm. Okay, I'm like, where the fuck is everybody in this fight? Okay, everybody's occupied on their ship. Got it. Okay, everybody's occupied on the fucking future, like fending off their own shit. Okay, and then, okay, yeah, like they are literally they've been crowd controlled. Yeah, literally everybody in the future has been cloud control. And then right now it's Klein like soloing, aggroing Ludwig. Okay, got it. And MMO terminology. Okay, Klein hurriedly dodged to the side as he kept rolling to avoid the remnant effects of the hurricane and soul-sucking palms. One roll, two roams, three roams, and his body abruptly bounced in a diagonal fashion. At some point in time, creeping hunger had already appeared to be made of gold. Damn. Admiral Hell's silver mask was the first thing that was reflected in Klein's eyes. It included the pale flames in his eye sockets, following that two bolts of lightning brightened from the depths of his eyes. Interrogator psychic piercing. At this moment, a black square-shaped ring of Ludwig's left index finger produced a slight glow. Immediately, a scene appeared in Klein's mind. It was a gigantic throne that was made up for the rotting heads of creatures like humans, elves, giants, dragons, and demonic wolves, sea monsters, and vampires. On each side, there would be miniature transparent faces of wraiths, shadows, and evil spirits. They were filled with hatred, viciousness, and indignation. Suddenly, Klein felt as though his head had been struck by an axe. The fearsome pain filled his mind without any delay. His psychic piercing had not only failed to show its effects, but it had also ended up affecting him in an amplified manner. Damn. If not for him having experienced more extreme pain, Klein definitely would have fallen to the ground, wailing and struggling, but even so, he temporarily lost his ability to resist as he bent his back with a grimace. Seizing this opportunity, the gap where Ludwig's mouth was, a slow language that ordinary living creatures were unable to understand was emanated. The devil language of foulness? Understand was emanated. The surroundings instantly turned dark, blurry, and illusionary. This was the language of death that came from hell and the underworld. Just as Klein felt a little better, he discovered that his spirit body was floating up uncontrollably, separating from his body inch by inch. Okay, and the terrifying suction force from the bronze door was an irresistible force to the spirit. No, this won't do. While his spirit body hadn't completely left his body, Klein raised his right arm and spread his hand, which was wearing tinder with great difficulty. Yeah, he isn't a devil, my bad. It just, the word hell had me thinking that, like, it was like the language of foulness, but no, it's the language of death. Oh, this is such a cool fight, dude. It's starting to digest. Just as Klein felt a little better, and the terrifying suction force of the bronze door was an indescribable force of the spirit. No, this won't do. While his spirit body hadn't completely left his body, Klein raised his right hand and spread his hand, which was wearing tinder with great difficulty. Different lustrous glows instantly interweaved with the surface as they surfaced before him and kept changing and rapidly flickered. Without any hesitation, Klein grabbed onto a pile of white blobs swirling with a gloomy green color. He twisted his wrists and extracted it. In this battle, the beyonder powers he wished to steal the most was the one that created the bronze door, but he couldn't guarantee success. All he could do was seek the blessings of the goddess. The lustrous glow flew over and landed in tinder. However, this wasn't the beyonder powers that Klein wanted the most. However, it wasn't the worst either. The mouth behind Ludwig's silver mask moved, but it wasn't able to produce the sluggish, awkward language that was destined for the living to not understand. At the same time, Klein opened his mouth. Oh, that was a challenge. That went by quick, dude. All right, let's keep going. The next chapter, chapter 660, is called Behind the Mask. one syllable after another of distorted, incomprehensible jarring, and indecipherable words slowly spewed out of Klein's mouth. Out of his mouth? It made the hurricane produced by the bronze door terrifying suction force to instantly calm down. Oh! Instantly calm down, cloaking the already dim surroundings with a deeper gloom. Only at this moment did he know that the beyond powers which Admiral Ludwig had just used was known as the language of death. It could circumvent the protection of one's flesh and blood so as to target the spirit body. It belonged to an advancement in the spirit medium's powers. It could go from direct communication with spirits to that of the commanding to the point of enslavement. Living creatures were unable to understand the resounding language. Ludwig couldn't help but freeze on the spot. A transparent layer rapidly surfaced on the pirate captain's attire. His spirit was being tugged by an illusory power. At this moment, the black squared-shaped ring on Ludwig's left index finger produced a faint glow. The miniature portion of his spirit body, which had been forcibly drawn out, had returned to his body. Wait. The miniature portion of his spirit body, which had been forcibly drawn out, had returned to his body as the two fused back into one. Ding. With his right hand, Ludwig drew out the thin rapier hanged by his waist. It was an iron, black in color, and its tip gathered the surrounding light, turning into a dark point. Admiral Hell suddenly took a step forward, and with a vigorous wind current, he suddenly closed the distance between him and Klein. Immediately, he thrust out the rapier in his hand at lightning speed. This is amazing, dude. Dude, oh shit. This is so sick. Klein's come such a fucking long way. Oh my god. This is so good. The bronze door, which was covered with mysterious patterns, remained standing erected in its original spot. It didn't vanish because of Ludwig's retracting of his left hand in subsequent actions. This was different from the similar looking ability that Miss Sharon has previously cast using a mystical item. Oof, the black rapier pierced through Klein in an unavoidable manner. Ooh, he got him? Klein's figure... Oh, and he doesn't have damage transfer. Klein's figure rapidly crumbled into a... Oh, okay, it's his paper figurine. Klein's figure rapidly crumbled into a piece of paper. Its surface turned yellow and dry as though it had been weathered for thousands of years. A hurricane brought about by the bronze door completely pulverized the paper figurine. Okay, it was a paper figurine. In mid-air, Klein jumped out of the darkness as he held a huge handful of charms from the sea god domain storm. He quickly shouted an ancient Hermes as the thin... How is this not the volume 3 finale? How is there more after this? Like how is this not the volume 3? Like, there's more? This feels like a volume 3 finale, dude. Like, it really feels like after this, he finds a mermaid, he hits Marionettes, and the volume ends. Well, there's clearly more, because it doesn't end for like another like 60, 70 chapters. In mid-air, Klein jumped out of the darkness and held a huge handful of charms from the sea god domain, Storm. He quickly shouted, little does he know. I don't want to know. Hold up. I actually don't want to know what you guys know. He quickly shouted an ancient Hermes as the thin flakes lit up individually as he sacrificed himself to sea god. This also meant that if Klein wished so, he could recycle most of the materials and use it multiple times until the metals could no longer withstand the spirituality. Whoosh. Blue wind... Thank you guys for 30 plus of you guys here. Blue wind blades shot out of the surrounding water, sprayed out heavy waves that were all as tall as the ship, as Klein didn't attempt to have any time to distinguish between the different kinds of charms. While these attacks inundated Ludwig, the extraordinary effects of the augmented Admiral Hill, he was given augmented effects like underwater breathing, underwater mobility, flight, and pressure resistance, none of which were useful at the moment. Ludwig suddenly opened his mouth and produced a silent screech. He then struck the waves beside him as countless winds of blades temporarily froze. Oh, they froze in midair. As countless wind blades temporarily froze in midair. That is so sick, dude. Immediately following that, Admiral Hall raised his left hand as the black square-shaped rings on his index finger produced a sinister and eerie glow that instantly brightened. Whoosh, the bronze star, which exuded an indescribable feeling, instantly swelled as it doubled in height and width. Amidst a heavy creaking sound, the gap in the door opened. The already terrifying suction force immediately rose to an unimaginable level. Blue wind blades and black sea waves were producing as Klein charged at the door from the air. headed straight for the strange vines and arms that extended outwards. Klein had planned on using the Priest of Light by clashing head-on with a bronze door with a light of holiness to catch a breather, but he definitely needs a breather during this fight. What do you think of Klein's most important beyond part? Dude, I don't even know, man. I don't even know what's the most important thing going on right now. Like, too much is happening. They're like, I can't really, like, process it. Because it's so badass, dude. I'm too excited. I don't know. The fireball, like, definitely not damage transfer. I know that much. I don't know if he's going to be able to use that. Breathing tube? Oh, look. It's funny because in Volume 2, I was making fun of that ability. Like, breathing tube. Why would he need to breathe underwater? And, like, clearly, right now, I was like... This is like the perfect time to use breathing tube. And then once he hit his current sequence, like he was able to go to like deeper breaths or like hold it for longer periods of time. But this is so sick, dude. The white flame scattered as he rained down, but all it did was make the bronze star quake a little and dim a little. Klein took the opportunity and snapped his fingers. The few matchsticks he separated in his pocket immediately lit up as scarlet flames rapidly enveloped his body as melted away. A flame burst out by the side of the bronze door as Klein leaped out of it. He instantly noticed that Anderson Hood was floating in mid-air in a rather awkward manner. He held a burning white spear. Now he has a spear? He held a burning white spear in his palm. The strongest... Dude, Anderson is so badass, dude. What the fuck? I lost my place. Shit, I'm too excited. The strongest hunter had finally arrived, but he had just appeared unaccustomed to flying. When Lidwell looked up and saw the scene, the pale white flames behind the silver mask clearly jumped twice. Clearly, he never expected that the future had two other powerhouses at the pirate admiral level, apart from Admiral Starscat Leah. Wait, hold up. That didn't process. Anderson, you're telling me he's admiral level? Wait, that would make sense. Reaper, sequence 5? Wait, no. He's running? Ain't no shot he's gonna run away. Pirate Admiral level, apart from Admiral Starcat Leah. Furthermore, the wielder pretty good mystical items and sealed artifacts. At this moment, Lidwell suddenly raised his hand and pressed down on his face, surprisingly taking off his silver mat. Ooh, he took it off? Heavy, pale, white light suddenly spewed out from behind the mask, causing endless silence to instantly spread out from the black squared-shaped ring on Lidwell's left index finger. The silence surged into the bronze door and lifted it off the deck and into the air. The door, covered in mysterious patterns, fused with the endless silence as it rapidly burgeoned to more than 30 meters tall. With the sea at its base, it stood there, erect like an entrance to another world, one completely different from the priest. Ain't no way. Dude, my man's running away. The door covered in spears pattern fused with the endless silence as it rapidly burns to a more than 30 meters tall, 90 feet. With the sea, that's a fucking big ass entrance. With the sea at its base, it stood there erect like an entrance to another world, one completely different from the present world. Creak. The bronze door opened and unspeakable darkness surged out as enveloped the black tulip's bow. Upon seeing this, Klein didn't focus on his attacks as he quickly took out the correct charm and rapidly used it on himself. A strong gust of wind swept over and lifted him above the black tulip. With a pull of the darkness, the gigantic sailboat steered into the bronze door 10 meters at a time as it sailed into another world. Admiral Hel Ludwell stood at the bow as he looked up into the sky. His face was blanketed by the pale white luster, preventing anyone from discerning his looks. I'm sorry. Is Klein gonna like... He's gonna like gush down? His gaze first swept past Klein before landing on Anderson Hood. He seemed to make a mental note of these two hunters, but he didn't make any further attempts to attack. Oh, he's like, I don't want to fight these guys anymore. He seemed to have been restrained by the surrounding darkness. Shot. He makes it out. Anderson was taken aback as he didn't hesitate to throw out the burning white spear in his hand. He just, like a javelin, he just throws it at him. The spear shot straight at Lidwell, but once it entered the region closed by the darkness silence, it silently vanished. Lidwell is planning to escape. How decisive. Klein was first stunned before he recalled that his copper whistle was stolen on the black tulip. Oh. What a coincidence. With that gigantic sailboat halfway inside the bronze door and about to enter another world with no way to stop them, Klein threw the matchsticks and... he's gonna zap in there. He threw the matchsticks and snapped his fingers. He appeared 50 meters above the stern where the undead creatures were fighting for a Zig's copper whistle. The item which kept changing hands... Wait, what? This item which kept changing... Oh, like, it's changing, like, hands, as in like they're grabbing and they're changing. Changing hands finally burst into a scarlet flame due to its matchsticks tied to it. Amidst the flames, Klein's figure surfaced there and grabbed the Zig's copper whistle. This was the preparation that he had made for retrieving the copper whistle. That's a good way to retrieve it. Furthermore, to prevent any mishaps from happening, such as the matchsticks being pulled away by the undead creatures, he also coated the copper whistle with an easy, flammable, essential oil of the sun. That's pretty smart. And then it's easily flammable. Got it. Surrounded by countless undead, Klein didn't have the luxury of time to retract his hands and grab the copper whistle. He merely snapped his fingers again. At this moment, transparent, rotting, pale, or illusionary hands grabbed him. It's not the illusionary hands from the trailers we've been seeing. No. It's rotting, pale. Oh, wait, or the illusionary hands, maybe. No, it's not. That's something else. Or the illusionary hands grabbed him. The matchsticks Klein had previously thrown into the air ignited in midair as it produced a flame. His figure quickly materialized amidst the flames. His face was livid and his lips were white. Having been grabbed by the countless shadows, wraiths, and undead creatures, Klein felt that the depths of his spirit body was ice cold. He couldn't control his body as he plummeted into the sea, dyed in gold. He fell in the ocean. With the black tulip almost completely crossing the bronze door, the sea, which appeared like an entrance to hell, had been restored to normal. Klein sank a few meters and swallowed a few mouthfuls of bitter and astringent seawater before he ultimately recovered. Thankfully, I was sufficiently prepared. A prepared magician. As this always a prepared, once a prepared magician, always a prepared magician. As this thought flashed past his mind, he suddenly felt something amiss. By wearing the Murloc cufflink, he had the passive ability to breathe underwater for 10 minutes. He shouldn't have drunk mouthfuls of water. Klein suddenly turned his head and looked at his waist, only to realize that the blue cufflinks had detached itself at some point. It's lost. Tinder lost it. I was on the black tulip the entire time. Klein splashed a few times and floated to the surface, just in time to see the gigantic sailboat's tail melt into the darkness as the bronze door slowly closed. He instinctively swam for it a few seconds before ultimately stopping. He selected one of his remaining charms and gave himself the beyonder effects of underwater breathing. In midair, Anderson Hood clicked his tongue, and when he saw this fellow is really crazy. He's actually trying to engage in pursuit. At this moment, the starlight above the feature fell and condensed into a pursue? At this moment, the starlight above the feature fell and condensed into a long bridge that extended over. Katlia had finally finished off the grayish-black match. My ear. Katlia had finally... it's like popping. Katlia had finally finished off the grayish-black... It's about time! Katlia, if she finishes off a little quicker, being an admiral and all, she could have joined in on the fight. Katlia had finally, coincidentally, finished it off after the fight. Katlia had finally finished off the grayish-black monster with immense vitality. What a pity. If only Admiral L had hesitated a little and didn't flee in such a timely fashion. Anderson Hood sighed and suddenly firmly landed on the star bridge. As he watched German Sparrow fly over, he was just about to greet and praise him when he saw the cold and gloomy expression. Anderson instinctively made... What the heck just happened? Anderson instinctively made way and chuckled dryly, allowing German Sparrow to walk past him. After returning to the feature via the star bridge, Klein held back his effusing emotions and watched Frank Lee walk over and gave him a thumbs up. You're the craziest fellow I've ever met. From one crazy to another. Good job. You actually dared to board the Black Tulip alone and single-handedly challenged Admiral Hell. You even returned alive. Sorry, in terms of cravingness, I'm far inferior to you. Dude, there's like... After that crazy fight, that was the biggest performance German Sparrow has ever had. If he does not digest his fucking potion after this encounter in like a next chapter or two, cap, bro. Like full stop. There's like no shot he doesn't digest it. Being called crazy by Frank Lee is crazy. And because he's a crazy hunter and he's being acknowledged by a crazy, he's going to digest his potion. You're the craziest fellow I've ever met. You actually dared to board the Black Tulip alone and single-handedly challenged Admiral Hell. You even returned to life. Sorry, in terms of craziness, I'm far inferior than you. And of course, bro. Klein thought in response. At this moment, the pirates with long, disheveled hair expressed their astonishment and amazement. In such an atmosphere, Klein... In such an atmosphere, Klein closed his eyes and felt his faceless potion completely digest. Literally 1 second later, I just had to shut up and read another paragraph. Shit, dude. That's such. I'm getting emotional, bro. Like genuinely, cinema to more. All I. Fuck it, I just had to shut up and read two more lines. Look, dude, I'm getting emotional. Ignore the pimple right here. That's not ready. But look, I'm getting emotional. That was such a badass fucking fight, dude. Oh my god. Holy shit, man. My ears are popping. I feel like I have a fever. I'm like burning up. And we still gonna read, man. Perseverance, man. Holy shit, man. Spiritual intuition. One could say I probably divined that. Wow, I use a divination. Like, is he gonna digest or not? Chapter 661 is called Approaching, because he's about to approach that fucking marionettis potion, dude. He's gonna pull off that mental corruption above the gray fog after he hears the singings and murmurings of a mermaid. Oh my god. What a good fight. I think that's my new favorite fight in terms of badassness. Is that a word? 20 chapters to reach the goal. Oh my god, that was barely 10 chapters. In terms of badassfulness, that was the most badass fight in this series. No shot. That was the most badass fight in all of this series. What you think of Anderson? Fuck, man. Oh my god. Anderson is fucking sick. Fuck. Wait, no, hold up. I don't mean F Derek. I mean, like, hold up. I'm walking it back. I'm getting a little too excited. Anderson can join. We don't need Derek. We need Anderson on the crew. We need Anderson. What you think? Dude, he's badass. What do you mean he's unlucky? He's fucking badass, bro. He ain't no unlucky. He's literally lucky. No, he's enhancing the team. He's making us all look even more badass. What a good fight. Wait, did I say Derek? I meant the Nits. Wait, my bad. Well, yeah, I didn't. Well, hold up. I didn't mean. I'm not trying to diss Derek. Well, yeah, I meant the Nits. Yeah, my bad. Like, we don't need the Nits. We need Anderson on the crew. Like, I'm telling you, we need Anderson for our double trio. I assume that's why everybody likes Anderson, because I feel like maybe Anderson becomes more of a focal point until the end of this volume rather than the Nits, and maybe he comes towards the end. But Anderson is fucking goated, bro. Anderson is such a badass character. The switch up is crazy. Just a little bit. All right, let me quickly update this bad boy. One sec. Before we read, I'm genuinely lightheaded after that whole encounter. Oh my goodness. Oh. I'm genuinely like, now it's like wearing off, man. My excitement, my adrenaline, my adrenaline. My God, I can't speak. The rush was so high that now I'm going through the lows. Woo! I got lightheaded. Chapters. I gotta take off the headphones. If it's too loud, too low, you guys let me know. But chapter 661 is called Approaching. Want to take a break by looking at Anderson art? You know what? Let's look at Anderson art. Yeah, send some. Let me see. You guys got some? So this is the Holy Anderson. Oh, wow. It actually crops it out. I apologize. That's sick. That's him right there. He looking good. He been looking mighty good. Look at that. Anderson. Oh, yeah. He's definitely a badass. What is that on his mouth? What is that? Oh, yeah. The knits. Ah. Anderson is a homie. Yeah, this is a badass. Oh yeah, he's looking like a Bloodborne character. He's definitely looking like the strongest hunter. Damn, Mr. Anderson. Wow. He even has the shades, literally straight out of the Matrix. Mr. Anderson. Yeah, look at that, dude. Damn. Oh, this is him making the canoe in the back. Yeah, that's fucking funny. Look at that. That's pretty funny. That's just sick, dude. Why does he look like that one freaking dude from Jujutsu Kaisen? Why does he look like Nanambi? Mr. Strongest Hunter versus Mr. 10,000 pounds. Dude, he kind of looks like, that's his name, right? Nanambi from Jujutsu Kaisen? Nanami. No, not Nami from One Piece. What's his name? This from Jujutsu Kaisen. There's a guy that looks just like him. Damn, look at his beautiful green eyes. He looks so badass, dude. He has the same, Anderson has the same haircut as Nanami. This is so sick, dude. He is so cool. Yes, I'm talking about the glasses guy from Jujutsu Kaisen. There's a guy with glasses from JJK, and he kind of looks like him. That is so sick. Nanami. Got it. Look at that. Oh, this one is. Look at them. Ah, get him out of here, dude. It's all about Anderson now. It's all about Mister. Get Derek out. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to. I'm not trying to talk smack on Derek. Get the nits out of here, bro. It's all about. I'm Team Anderson now. Get him out of here. Wait. I am Team Anderson. I am on the Anderson supremacy. Maybe he, instead of the Nits joining the Terror Club, he can join the Terror Club. No, it's sorry. No, I'm not talking. I'm sorry. I'm getting too excited. They can both join. I like them both. They're really cool. These are pretty cool characters. Yeah, I really like Volume 3. I think this is my favorite volume. I think Anderson is the one with the red... With the what? With the red sash? Like... Oh. Well, it was cool. Wait, Wayne making 30 chaps today? Chapter 200. 200? Chapter 661 is called Approaching. Approaching Marionette's potion? Approaching the mermaids? Hide the rum? Hide the rum! Frank Lee sensed the German Sparrow's abnormality as he added with a chuckle, I had planned on providing you some help by throwing some seeds over. Fucking Frank. You crazy son of a bitch. I had planned on providing you some help by throwing some seeds over. Unfortunately, I have no way to throw them that far. I feel like that probably would have made it worse. Throw some seeds of the black tulip. These waters have the remnant auras of the Earth Mother. Oh, maybe it would have enhanced and held the black tulip back from going through the door. Beyonder matters in the corresponding domain would mutate and would attack everyone without identifying friend from O. I was in the black tulip at that moment. Thankfully, you didn't throw them. It would have made him worse, dude. Klein suddenly recalled the tragic state of the future had been placed in a moment ago and how Dead Pirate had grown a watermelon on its head. Just as he was about to give a minced answer to match German Sparrow's persona, he suddenly saw Heath Doyle appear from the shadows, bending his back to vomit. After all that, yeah, I wouldn't doubt him. I feel like you can throw up after going through all of that. He finally vomited a pool of yellowish-green liquid. Amidst it was a piece of half-rotting grayish-black flesh, which was still squirming a little. Ew. Heath Doyle continued vomiting similar items. Upon seeing this, other than feeling somewhat disgusted, Klein felt significantly relieved. He was originally aware that the Rose Bishop Heath Doyle had been corrupted from randomly eating things, but from the looks of it, he had isolated what he had eaten without truly digesting it. As expected of a Rose Bishop who isn't mad, Klein silently sighed. Just as he was planning to look away from the vomit, thoughts suddenly flashed in his mind. You know what? Hold up. I gotta praise. I gotta glaze this series. This series is so good because, like, Cuttlefish isn't limiting himself. Like, Cuttlefish is not limiting himself to only like one type of genre and like terms of mysticism, and he's not limiting his characters like character progression to like a certain type of character trait. Like in volume 1, bam, he made him join like the magic cop organization. Bam, volume 2, he literally made him become Sherlock Holmes in like London and become a detective. Volume 3 is like, bam, he literally just made him Jack Sparrow and go out at sea. Like I love, and then like not only that, he completely changes his persona. I love that he isn't stuck in this writer's block where he just limits himself to like one thing, and he keeps like expanding the characters and the world and the lore and the story. Like I love how so far all 3 volumes have been drastically different from themselves. That is so cool. Like sometimes like you read something, and I'm not calling anything else bad. That's not what I'm saying. But like say for example, you read Percy Jackson, or I never finished reading Percy Jackson, so this is a bad example. I don't know. But when I remember from what I remember reading Percy Jackson like 20, no, not 20 years ago, like 15 years ago, it was kind of limited to one thing, right? And I really liked it. And I never went back and finished it, I know. But I like how this series is always changing it. Like, it's so cool, dude. It's so sick. It's so cool. Now I'm over here wondering, like, is he gonna become like a ninja in Volume 4? Like what is going on? Like, we've done the One Piece arc. Now we do the Naruto arc, and then we do the Ichigo arc, and go to Soul Society. Like, there's so many. Oh my God! You know what? There probably is gonna be an entire volume when it's him exploring the spirit world. Like, there's so much that can. Volume 4. Oh wait, hold up. I don't want to. He becomes Zoolander in Volume 4. And it's still gonna be good. He's gonna be like this, walking. He's like, climb Volume 4. That's gonna be so good. I know you were joking with that, Meg, but that's still funny. It's cool, man. I love it. I love how everything's been so drastically different up until this point. Like, it's always keeping it interesting, spicy, a little bit of freaky here and there. Like, he's always sprinkling a little bit of every genre. Like, it covers horror, mystery, no, like, it's just everything. I love it. Creeping hunger has already been activated. It needs to be fed once with it. Sorry, I'm like glazing the series. I'm glazing the series. I love it. Was he joking? I hope he's not joking, because that'd be pretty badass to see him on his Zoolander arc. The movie is so funny. Once within a day, and there are any outsiders here. There's also no ideal scum. The pirate who died won't do, although his partners might not put too much weight on his corpse. Creeping hunger devours the soul. I wonder if these pieces of flesh can be treated as food. At the very least, it contains a tremendous amount of vitality, corpses that have been influenced by Earth's mother aura. With this in mind, Klein took 2 steps forward and came beside Heath Doyle. He couldn't bear to look at the puddle, vomited, and instinctively cast his gaze aside towards the grand sea, which reflected the sunlight beyond the shipyard. Then he reached out a piece of grayish black flesh with his left hand. Creeping hunger didn't react, and it didn't crack open a mouth. Looks like it doesn't wish to eat it. Oh, that's the first time where it doesn't want to eat something. Looks like it doesn't wish to eat it. For now, I can only barely use it to deal with any latent dangers. If I'm still unable to find any suitable food when the day is almost up, I'll throw it above the grave file. Client helplessly retracted his hand as he looked up to the captain's cabin. The gold brooch in front of Catleya bloomed with light once again, materializing a sun wraith that cleansed a piece of grayish black flesh from Heath Doyle. This pirate admiral's expression didn't seem to change. Since she didn't change, she only looked slightly tired as purple hues in her eyes became increasingly obvious. After confirming that the ship had been set to sail again, Klein didn't stay any longer as he prepared to return to his room to change out his drenched clothes. Anderson glanced at him and curiously opened his mouth. Shut up. Klein spoke out before he could. Check the artwork. Is there more artwork? Just I don't even know how to react. Just to check up, please. I've been feeling sick. Is that fucking... Is Ellie the doctor? Dr. Ellie, what's wrong? Hey, Mr. Geeky, you're pregnant. It's a boy. Oh my god. I don't know how to comment on that. I don't know how to comment on that one. Well, thank you for the fan art. I'm adding that one to the fan art. Truly, genuine reaction, my guys. Alright, let's keep reading. The turn of events had made him lose his Murloc cuffling. Therefore, he progressively found the person plagued with bad luck as a sore sight. He was just short of defining him as food for creeping hunger. Alright, Anderson raised his arms. I was just drinking silence. Klein ignored him and entered the cabin before returning to his room. Inside his bathroom, he picked up a water creation charm and activated it with ancient Hermes. With a tulip of clean water, he took off all his clothes and slid in. The ice-cold sensation in the warm sunshine significantly soothed him. He picked up a pen and paper he brought from his desk and wrote down a divination statement. The location of the Murloc cufflink. The ice-cold sensation and the warm sunshine significantly soothed it. He picked up a pen and paper he brought from his desk and wrote a divination statement. The location of the Murloc cufflink. I just reread that, I'm sorry. The location of the Murloc cufflink. After reciting it 7 times, I scrolled down too much. After reciting it 7 times, Klein completely leaned down using the front of the bathtub as a pillow before entering his dream. Amidst a grayish blur and a disconnected illusion word, he saw a zombie rotting in several parts of the deck. The blue Murloc cuffling was embedded in the flesh of a zombie's left waist. Apart from the deck, it was pitch black. It was impossible to tell where the ship was. It really is on a black tulip. Klein opened his eyes and came to the conclusion. I hope Adam and Ho wouldn't discover it. This way, I can use the cuffling to lock on the Black Tulip's location. It's not a big problem, even if he discovers it, as long as Lootwell doesn't throw the cuffling away and there isn't too much of a delay in time. I can use it to locate his ships. However, the place to do divination will have to be above the Grey Fog instead of the real world. Also, I need to perform divination disruption ladders to prevent Adam and Hell from locking onto me with a cufflink or even be able to curse me. The ring really seems like an item left behind the ancient death. Yes, I should write to Mr. Zick and inform him this. Klein quickly rinsed his body and walked out of the bathtub. After wiping himself dry, he switched onto the low-end gentleman. Yeah, what's up, dude? What's up, guys? What's up, guys? OG, man, you missed out, dude. Wow. A lot has happened in this stream. After wiping himself dry, he switched into the low-end gentleman's suit from before. He first adjusted his inventory and washed his clothes before unfolding a piece of paper, taking out a Zig's copper whistle. Standing beside the desk and looking at the objects on it, Klein hesitated when he extended his right plan. The light in his eyes flickered before he put away a Zig's copper whistle and placed it into the small metallic box. He then isolated its aura with a wall of spirituality. He planned on summoning the messenger only after he left these waters and the future. I suffered quite a huge loss this time. Thankfully, I finished digesting the faceless potion. I can now just wait for the appearance of the mermaid. Yes, the actual situation on this battlefield of gods is different from what I imagined. It actually has the aura of Earth Mother. It must have been left behind later. Otherwise, it's impossible that a deity can't control her own aura. None of the 8 ancient gods in the second epoch wielded the authority of the Earth domain. There are some suspects among their subsidiary gods, such as the giant queen, goddess of harvest Omilla, or the goddess of life, who's subsidiary to vampire ancestor Lilith. This is a battlefield with subsidiary gods participating, or is it really wasn't something from the second epoch? Klein knew too little about the battlefield of the gods, so he could only mainly guess and have some fanciful thoughts. He focused again as he began cutting some paper figurines and drew the full symbol of concealment and changed on them. Pa. Oh, what's up, dude? Yeah, I'm glad for you, dude. Nice. Yo, that's awesome, dude. Congrats. I hope everything went good. Klein raised the paper figurine and shook it. Flames appeared out of thin air as the paper figurine burnt to a crisp. By doing this, we are recording, right? Yes, 661. Yes, we are recording. Whew. Flames appeared out of thin air as the paper figurine burned to a crisp. By doing this, he could attain the desired effects to a certain extent. If he wished for better effects, he had to go above the gray fog to respond. He could use the Black Emperor's cards to stir the powers of the mysterious space, coupled with a paper angel to provide protection. With a Zig's copper whistle and Will Ossipton's paper crane interfering with a suspected existence of spying, Klein returned to the bathroom and methodically finished what he needed to do. After tidying up the room, he put on Creeping Hunger and Tinder, and he slowly walked to the deck, prepared to seriously observe his surroundings so as to not miss any clues or mermaids. We gonna find a mermaid this stream, huh? Just as he left the cabin, he saw a seated Anderson Hood leaning against a wooden alcohol barrel. Oh, wait. I remember what happened the last time he was by an alcohol barrel. It was not good. He had a gloomy expression as his aura was converged. It was as though he was in a thought of feeling melancholic. He really kept his promise and had been silently drinking. Klein mumbled to himself as he passed by Anderson. Anderson slowly looked up and asked as though he was in reverie, "Is there a problem with the alcohol here?" Klein was taken aback as he surely replied, "Yes." Anderson fell speechless. Oh no. Is that a bucket for something else? This fellow is just too unlucky. His beyond powers had even failed to help him point out not detecting the problem with the alcohol. The corners of Klein's mouth twitched as he continued forward. What is it? On the deck, many sailors were gathered together, watching Nina take on the Dusty as the Lords of Storms freeze. She was holding a wake and receiving the pirate. Bad luck magnet. Wait, what was in it? Oh, it's Frank's alcohol? The bull milk? Is it bull milk? Poor Anderson, dude. Oh, he's been through so much. He was stuck on that island trying to make a canoe. He's a badass, and then he goes through that. Oh man, pour out a drink for him. Klein raised the paper figure and shook it. Flames appeared out of thin air as the paper figurine burned her. I just read this. On the deck, many sailors were gathered together watching Nina take on the duty as Lord of Storm's priest. She was holding a wake up for recently deceased pirates. After a simple prayer, Nina looked around and said, Reverie's wish was to burn on the mountain at this port hometown after his death. There's the most beautiful sunset there. He wishes to be cremated so that he wouldn't be disrupted after his death. Holy Lord of Storms, bless him with eternal peace. Many of the sailors believed that the Lord of Storms, as they struck their left breast with their right fists, like that. Klein didn't approach as he silently watched the scene from a distance. After the wake was over, the corpse of the pirate, Reverie, was reduced to ashes with the help of a scroll. Klein silently sighed as he inwardly drew a crimson moon. Aw. That got serious out of nowhere. For the rest of the day, the sunlight remained brilliant as it continued being midday. The feature circled around several ruins as it ventured deeper into the waters. At some point in time, Anderson had recovered and arrived beside Klein. He shot him a glance and pointed to the buildings that were submerged ahead. After pressing this ruin and headed about 10 nocturnal miles with a left, there was a chance of encountering mermaids. Finally, Klein was just about to answer when the sky suddenly darkened. The sunlight subsequently vanished. Night has fallen again. Without another word, he returned to his room and got into bed. Soon, he found himself awake in his dreams. Clean floor-to-ceiling windows stood before him. There was also the neatly arranged tables and chairs, as well as bookshelves filled with books. He had returned to the spot from where he had previously left to dream. He was back in the library. As the glow of the sunset shot him, cloaked every object with a faint layer of gold, Klein walked forward in puzzlement and came before the bookshelf had previously browsed. Unsurprisingly, he saw Book of Charms and the other books of Masochism. Klein planned on taking out the book again and quickly read through it, where his gaze suddenly swept across a bookshelf opposite of him. He saw a black-covered book with the title Roselle's... The fuck? He just finds Roselle's notebook here? Roselle... So Cat Leah has been holding him back on these Roselle entries. She has not been giving a shit. Why are you hiding? What are you hiding, Cat Leah? Rozia's Notebook 3, The Emperor's Diary, an entire... Oh, wait, what the fuck? It's an entire diary, not just a page. Klein subconsciously wanted to extend his hand. At this moment, the pair of mysterious eyes that observed the deck and himself flashed in his mind, along with the individual who opened the book in the Hall of Emiros that Anderson Hood had mentioned, as well as how he was abnormally moved about in his dream. Klein retracted his gaze and took out the Book of Charms again. He came to a long table, sat down, and began quickly browsing through it. Suddenly, he heard the footsteps approach from the depths of the library. Klein instantly tensed up as he slowly lifted his head. The first thing that he saw was a pair of black leather boots. Lag? I apologize. Alright, next chapter is called 662 Powerful Aura. As his gaze moved up, Klein roughly guessed the owner of those footsteps. She was a woman. Wait, hold. It's the woman in leather boots. Come on. Wait, no, wait. I'm stalling. It's not Edwina. She had leather boots. Edward's Edwina? But she wouldn't even be in the dream. Why would she be here? Who else has leather boots? I'll be quiet. Let's keep reading. As his gaze moved up, Klein roughly guessed the owner of those footsteps. She was a woman wearing beige trousers that made it easy to move about. She wore a pair of long black leather boots, but on her body was a light brown skirt that reached her knees. The hemline fell down diagonally in layers, giving an unrestrained cool vibe to her. Such a getup made Klein feel as though he had returned to Earth. This was because in Lowen, Intis, and Fasik, Fana Potter, Lenberg, Mason, and East... Masson, East, Balam, and other countries, none of them had popularized such styles. Klein lifted his head faster and finally saw the lady's appearance. She had a long chestnut hair and it naturally cascaded down. Her straight eyelashes extended out just perfectly. Her deep blue eyes were deep and profounded, as though it hid an ocean in them. She had outstanding beauty, but that wasn't the most eye-catching thing of all. Her actions naturally effused a sense of nobility. She gave off a strong impression about how she had enjoyed having the statues of being someone important for extended periods of time. Klein subconsciously tried to bow his head and avoid meeting her gaze. Furthermore, she's very tall. She's almost as tall as my state as Klein Moretti. Klein suddenly added inwardly, After completely digesting the faceless potion, he came to a realization that oneself was an amalgamation of personality, experience, knowledge, and social connections. His look and build could be changed at will. Therefore, as long as he knew who he was, he didn't mind using the word state to describe the characteristics of each of the different identities. After all, every faceless change could be fixed without any additional maintenance. This also meant that even without the corresponding beyonder powers, he could still maintain his external appearance as Gurmik Sparrow. And because of that, he could easily make Klein Murdy grow taller if he wanted. Tap, tap, tap. The lady who exuded the feeling of looking down from above walked in front of Klein. She pulled out a chair and sat down. We meet again. The lady with a gentle and emotionless tone. We meet again. Woman in leather boots. The way she speaks sounds familiar. Klein's mind whirled as he remembered the source of the sense of familiarity. The scene of her arrival immediately resounded in his mind and finally fixed on the pair of the black leather boots. I'm sorry. Is this the woman that had leather boots in Volume 2 in the museum? The high sequence beyond her? It's her. Klein suddenly recalled the relevant scenes. Back when he used his spirit pot. Yeah, it is her. What the fuck? I don't remember the chestnut hair part, but I remember the leather boots. Back when he used his... Yeah, it is her. Yeah, right here. She was the lady that was like holding him in midair. Like, what are you doing? Bruh? Lag? Is it lagging again? I'm sorry. Back when he used his spirit body state to infiltrate the Royal Museum and retrieve the Black Emperor card, he had encountered a demigod. I think stream just crashed. Yeah, this reveal is so strong. We're crashing, dude. Back when he used his spirit body state to infiltrate the Royal Museum and retrieve the Black Emperor card, he had encountered a demigod. She had been sitting at the top of a wooden staircase in the middle of the two large bookshelves. Her black leather boots back then were dangling in the air. He changed back into his identity as Sherlock Moriarty and shouted for help when he was being pursued by the devil dog. Midway, he encountered a forest path formed from a green pea vines. He had no choice but to follow the carriage into the mid bay, where he saw the pea vines interweave to form a hammock and a pair of black leather boots. It's her. Why would she appear in the dream world and these waters? Besides, she said, "We meet again. I'm Gervin." So she knows it's him. How do you even know? I'm Gurman Sparrow right now. Amidst his thoughts, Klein replied with a deadpan expression. We haven't met before. So what if you're a demigod? As long as you are an angel, I can use the sea god scepter to resist you in this dream world. Klein encouraged himself in secret. The lady with long eyebrows sat there and lifted her chin, observed Klein for 2 seconds. Is that so, Mr. Shit. Is that so, Mr. Hero Bandit Black Emperor? How does she know that? How does she know that? Klein's thought, like, there has to be, like, some, like, lingering aura from using the Black Emperor card, and, like, she was able to, like, follow him that way. Klein's thoughts erupted with a boom as if he had been struck by lightning. His thoughts were reduced to countless fragments that were left in shambles and chaos without any main thought. So she knows that I'm Hero Black Emperor. She recognized me as the spirit body who originally stole the card of blaster from the Royal Museum. How is this possible? Wait, why did she directly address me as Hero Bandit Emperor? If she had to use Sherlock Moriarty, I would even be more astonished and might not even fail to hide the change in my expressions. As these thoughts flashed through his mind, Klein instinctively controlled his facial muscles and calmly said, I don't know what you're talking about. All right, here we go. The lady, so maybe she's a lot more mysterious than we were led to believe. Like, I already labeled her as Mysterious Lady in my Volume 2 notes, but maybe she's a lot more mysterious. The lady who wore clothes that were different from the present fashion trends. The lady who wore clothes that were different from the present fashion trend. I'm sorry, is she also transmigrator and that's why she dresses differently from everybody else? Didn't repeat her words or explained anything. Instead, she said in a direct manner, and that's why she has leather boots. Like, how were her boots made from leather if leather is so hard to acquire in this world because all the crude oil is missing? Huh? The more it makes you think, right? I never thought about that. Like, how does she even have leather boots if there's no crude oil in this world? Wait, what the fuck? You shouldn't even be able to have leather boots. No, maybe? Or is it rubber? Right? Or is it rubber? Because that's why they can't have rubber bikes, right? Rubber wheels. You're right. It's just that hard to produce, right? Yes. Leather is not from crude oil. Oh, sorry, my bad. Hold up. Sorry, I was trying to connect all the red lines, dude, in this series, man. I was trying to connect all the intricate red lines. Never mind. I'll shut up now. Your identity as German Sparrow was provided by me? Leather is from cow? Really? Oh, you're right. You're right. Hold up. I played Skyrim. Yeah, you use your yeah. Wait, I'm trying to remember how we crafted leather in Skyrim. Hold up, it's coming back. Yeah, you're right. Leather was not required. Crude oil was not required in the making of leather and Skyrim. Yeah, I'm trying to remember. I was trying to remember that one. Definitely an American moment. Klein instantly felt his scalp tingle. He felt as though he didn't have a single secret when facing her. This identity of German Sparrow was created through the use of Miss Sharon's resources channels. This demigod lady is one of them. So she's connected with Miss Sharon? What? Your identity as German Sparrow was provided by me. Klein instantly felt as his scalp tingle. He felt as though he didn't have a single secret when facing her. This identity of German Sparrow was created through the use of Miss Sharon's resources channels. This demigod lady is one of them. Right? Miss Sharon has previously mentioned that someone in her circle had been investigating the true identity that was mentioned in volume 2. She was like, do you know anything? It's like, oh, I'll keep a lookout. And her circles had been investigating the true identity of the hero bandit Black Emperor and his promise to fulfill any reasonable request in exchange. For ingredients, it was limited to those below that of a high sequence beyond ingredient. According to Miss Sharon's description, why is she all the way out here? According to Miss Sharon's description, the person who offered the mission was more than 1.7 meters tall, with a very prominent body and long chestnut hair. Ooh. She liked wearing, it was her. She liked wearing black leather boots. Man, isn't that the person before me? Back then, I even suspected if she was a demigod whom I met in the Royal Museum. Furthermore, she knew very well that I had taken the Black Emperor card. Thoughts flashed past Klein's mind was temporarily at a loss for words. All he could do was maintain a silence. The lady whose chin wasn't sharp and was a little rounded didn't harp on German Sparrow identity. She looked out and frozen sunset and said, while you were in the roasted archipelago, Nas Solomon's Black Emperor also appeared in those waters? I believe you know what that means, Mr. Hero Bandit. I don't know what that means. What does that mean? Realizing how she was exposing his identity and was even giving him clues and evidence, Klein could only twitch the corner of his lips and said, Law be... I'm sorry, is she also a seer? Klein could only twitch the corners of his lips and say, Law of Beyonders of Characteristics Convergence? Wait. The lady of the opposite of him immediately softened as she said with a smile, you really are here. Oh, wait, no, she's... Never mind, she is drawn to the Black Emperor card. You really... So she would have been one of, like, the destined chosen that would be drawn to the card, but then Klein stepped in and took it, right? Because Roselle did say that. Bro got tricked? I'm getting tricked. Hold up. I am a little lost in the sauce. Hold up. You really are Hero Bandit Black Emperor. So you weren't certain. Fucking Klein gave it away. You weren't certain. Klein was like, shit, I should have shut up. So you weren't certain. You were only listening down. You were only listing down the clues and presenting your confident attitude. How was she so certain just now? Does she still have the evidence that she hasn't provided? Klein felt some regret and was abnormally puzzled. The lady, who seems to enjoy her standing as an important figure, didn't say anything further. She then looked at the bookshelf and said, you discovered that the bookmark had a Black Emperor card through his diary? Diary, this lady also notes... Oh, wait, how the fuck... Oh, my... It's Roselle's daughter. How else would she... It's the daughter. It's... Holy shit. He actually ran into one of Roselle's kids. And that's why she is so... She's probably like... She's over 200 years old. Because she's a high sequence beyond her. Dun, dun, dun. Oh! We did say that in the... We said that way back then. That, like, Klein would eventually run into one of his childs for whatever ultimanium. I kept it vague. I said ultimanium because like, we wouldn't know for what. This is Roselle's daughter. And that's why she knows is a diary. Diary. The lady also knows the so-called Roselle's notebook is a diary. Klein was taken aback as he didn't reply to her. You didn't take the notebook because you sent something, the lady asked. And then that's why she dresses so differently from the current fashion, because she doesn't follow the current fashion. She followed what her dad Roselle taught her back in the day. I'm lost, bro. Hold up. Where the fuck am I? You didn't take the notebook because you sent something, the lady asked again. This Klein suddenly realized something, decided not to answer, and instead pose questions. I'm tweaking out. I'm getting lost, bro. Remember how Nast appeared in the spirit world due to the Black Emperor card? Yes, I remember that part. And Nast was Roselle's former. Nast was with Roselle back in the day. I remember that. He was with him. So by default, he would be drawn to the card because he knows of it. I'm pretty sure Roselle only told a few people about the cards of blasphemy. No? Let's see if you're correct or not. Nah, Nast met Roselle once. What? Because I do have it written down in my notes that like, oh, like Nast was from that time. I guess he just met him once. Wait, hold up, because I know you guys are starting to confirm it. Hold up, let me finish this and then we'll talk about it. There's like 2-3 pages. Klein was taken aback and he didn't reply to her. You didn't take... Oh, wait, I read this. Klein suddenly realized something, decided to not answer and instead pose a question. He wanted to extract himself from a passive state and not be led by the nose. He looked at the lady's deep blue eyes and asked directly, you are the mysterious person on the future who was secretly spying on me. Oh, the eye watching. It wasn't hell. It was her. The beautiful lady who didn't allow anyone to come close replied frankly, yes, Katlia doesn't know that I've secretly boarded the future, but you actually discovered it. A clown's sense for danger. Based on the observation and the information from before, she can basically determine that I'm a faceless, a magician. From her tone, she's very familiar with the Admiral of Stars, the upper echelons of the Moses Ascetic Order, or the Queen Mystic. Klein nodded. Why would she? No, she wouldn't be Queen Mystic. The upper echelons of the Moses Ascetic Order, or the Queen... I'm sorry, is the female mysterious figure with the chestnut hair and black leather boots Queen Mystic? Klein nodded and said, that's right. The lady raised her chin and curled her lips up slightly. It's impossible for a normal clown to sense danger at this level, even if they're already sequence 5. She has discovered another unique trait again. She knows the seer pathway very well. Indeed, I've been somewhat affected by the Grey Fox power, giving me a direct premonitory intuition, even in situations that aren't dangerous. Klein didn't give her a chance to speak again, and he asked in a deep tone, were the sounds of the door opening and the footsteps heard by the Anderson hood in the depths of the hall of the mural yours? The mysterious footsteps? Were the sounds of the door opening and the footsteps heard by the Anderson hood and the depths of the hall mural yours? Are you referring to the hunter who's plagued by bad luck? The lady asked and thought. Yes, Klein asked. It was indeed... That was her? It was indeed me. The lady paused. Inform that hunter of a prophecy. Inform that hunter of a prophecy. The most lethal danger often lies in day-to-day life. What does that mean? What does that mean? Seeing how she had no intention of explaining, Klein deliberated and asked, you were the one that made me appear in the Saint of Darkness's dreams? The lady covered her long chestnut hair and she said gently but coldly, that's not hard to guess. Through that dream, I confirmed that you took the remains of the sea serpent Calvatua. And like before, you appeared using a spirit body state. You took away the item from John Cutman and vanished directly. Oh, you still carry the Black Emperor card. Klein didn't respond to this topic and switched to asking, you are Queen Mystic? Many people call me by that name, the lady calmly answered. Queen Mystic was since volume 2. Queen Mystic was that... Why would Queen Mystic be in Backland guarding the museum? Because of the card? The card of blasphemy? It's really her. This lady's bounty reaches... What the fuck? The last bounty was 100,000. This lady's bounty reaches 650,000. My math is mathing. 650,000 pounds just from Lowen's bounty alone. Oh, not even accumulated. That's just from Lowen's bounty alone. Klein silently I'm flabbergasted right now. Klein suddenly drew a gasp and said, "Ma'am, is there a reason why you're looking? Like, what did I do to you? Is there a reason why you're looking for me?" Queen Mystic used her blue eyes to look at him for a few seconds before saying, "I hope you can share with me the method to interpret the language created by Emperor Roselle. For that, I can satisfy most of your requests." Klein didn't admit or deny anything. He chuckled and asked, "Don't tell me you're even able to give the corresponding high sequence beyond her potion formulas." Queen Mystic had her bearing converged, but she said without any decrease in her dignity, "Your fate lies on the main..." How the fuck does she know that? "Your fate lies on the main peak of the Hornicus mountain range." Oh my god. Full circle. How the fuck does she know that? Is she the one with the mad... Is Klein hearing her? No. Queen Mystic. That sounds very Seer-esque. That sounds like a Seer Admiral. That sounds like a Seer kind of person. Queen Mystic. That sounds mystic, Seer, mystical. It's hard to process this. Hold up. I'm getting... I'm not lost. This is just a little over... The chicken plots. The plot chickens, dude. This Klein felt a baffling sense of... I'm feeling shock. This Klein felt a baffling sense of shock. His eyes darted around. While he was considering a question, Queen Mystic stood up. "When you need some help or clues to a few cards of blasphemy, tell me the answer." She turned around and walked into the depths of the tidy and vast library. With each step, her figure turned faint before quickly vanishing. The library immediately collapsed. Oh, wait, so the library was hers. I thought the library was Cat Leah's. It's Queen Mystic's. Because it's collapsing. She turned around and walked into the depths of the tidy and vast library. With each step, her figure turned faint before quickly vanishing. The library immediately collapsed. After a moment of feeling adrift, Klein found himself in the hall filled with beautiful murals. Anderson looked at him in shock and blurted out, "How did you get here?" Who the fuck is she, dude? Let's do overall thoughts. Hold up. So the library was Queen Mystic's library, not Cat Leah's. She knows a few cards of... She didn't say one. She said a few. So she either knows of some that aren't in the Twilight Hermit Order's possession, or she's in on the Twilight Hermit Order and she can take those cards of blasphemy and tell him. Who is she? Who the fuck is Queen Mystic? She's very mystical. How does she know? First of all, she has to be Roselle's child. And Roselle was smart enough to not teach her Chinese, right? Or like simplified Mandarin. He was smart enough to not teach Queen Mystic. What was her name? Benedicta? No, wait, no. She's from Final Fantasy. The female daughter. So he was smart enough not to teach her simplified Mandarin. I think Queen Mystic is very mystical. Very mystical. She is very mystical. Like I'm jumping all over the place in my thoughts. Truly Lord of the Mysteries. Like she proposes too many mysterious questions. Band-Aid. Band-Aid? Did I say Band-Aid? No, thank you. Her name was... Let me go back in my notes. I don't remember her name. What was her name? Let me open up my notes. Volume 2 notes. Okay, here's Roselle's time. Volume 2. The eldest daughter is Bernadette. Third child, second son. I think he only had one daughter, right? Bernadette. Bonrovia was the second son. Seal, eldest. Okay, we're good. Flashbang. Okay, so she has to be Bernadette. Thank you, Bernadette. So this lady... Wait, so this lady deduced that blank Ember card could be in the area because Nast was all of a sudden there for no reason. Nast came here because we know Nast was drawn to the card. Nast was drawn to the Black Emperor card, so he just showed up there. Queen Mystic was why is he there? It has to be because of the card of blasphemy, because he's drawn to that card as well. So she infiltrated Catlea's ship. Oh my god! Catlea used to be a subordinate of Queen Mystic, and then she left, right? Yeah. How does she know about the cards? How does she know about a few cards that she can bring up for exchange? How does she know that it's Roselle's diary? It has to be because she's Bernadette. She probably saw her dad writing all these entries, and she's like, oh, he's writing in a diary, right? Like, she probably came to that conclusion herself, like, oh, he's writing in a diary because, she's probably watching him. And then, but just Roselle never taught her simplified Mandarin. So that's probably what it is. And then that's probably why she has so much knowledge on all the few cards of blasphemy. And it's probably why she was monitoring. You know what? She was probably monitoring the card of blasphemy because she was waiting for the next fated person that was drawn to the card, right? Because he did write that down. And I'm pretty sure Roselle at least told Bernadette that much. Like, only those fated would be drawn to the card. Like, when she was drawn to the card, she was like, oh, I'm going to wait out and see who's the next person that's fated. The activation word for the Black Emperor card of the Blasphemer was Bernadette. Oh my god, you're fucking right. It was Bernadette. I for some reason, I was still thinking it was the Pirate King, but that was the joke. Clang was like, is it a One Piece reference? And no, it wasn't. Yeah, it was Bernadette. All right, man. We're going to end it there, man. So much happened. That had probably one of the most awesome fights. That was probably one of the most awesome tacular fights. Why can't you guys hear my music? You guys can't hear it. For some reason. I don't know why you guys can't hear it. Fated people was just Roselle saying and random person that found it. The only those fated are drawn to the card thing is bullshit? No shot. Is that really bullshit? Again, you see, I'm taking all this shit at face value, man. Every time somebody says something, I'm like, yes, I believe you. Okay, so that was BS? It was just a remark by Roselle? Okay. It's not the only thing that's fated will find it, but those that find it. Oh, but those that find... Okay, it's backwards. Those that find it are fated. Roselle was just being pretentious. Oh, yeah, because Roselle was being the main character. You're right. Roselle was being the main character, like, those that find it are fated. Yes, that was... Yes. Wow, before Klein, Leonard, and everybody else, Roselle really is the main character. I'm telling you, I don't think he's dead. I think he's out there acting as somebody else in hiding. Just how Klein is like, oh, I can't be the marauded Klein Moretti that came back from the dead. I feel like Roselle is doing the same thing. He's probably hiding his death. Like, he probably came back from the dead after his assassination attempt, and he's still hiding himself. Like, Bernadette probably doesn't even know he's out there. He's not Leonard. Yeah, but he has MC complex. All right, man, that was such an amazing fight. This is such an amazing volume. I'm kind of lightheaded right now, I'm not gonna lie. Also because I haven't eaten, but I'm pretty lightheaded. This was a goated fight. This was an amazing reveal. There's been, like, Anderson is amazing. The fucking Ludhale fight was it was awesome. I can't believe he actually took on the strongest admiral, and he fucking digested his potion. So I'm sorry we didn't get to the mermaid in this reveal, but rating, dude, this is the best volume so far. I think this is a 10. Hold up, I have to use that 10 very sparingly. I can't just name everything a 10. So far I've given volume 1 and 2 like a high 8. I've been giving it like an 8.5s, but like this is like I think this is a 10. But for now, I'm gonna give it like a 9. It's an amazing volume. I can't say, like, for me, a 10 is like perfect masterpiece. That's what's a 10, right? A 9 is amazing. An 8 is great. 7 is good. So far, this is an amazing volume. So I think I can confidently say this is a 9 so far. Unless some crazy shit happens at the end where I get mad, then it maybe goes down, right? But I don't think that's happening. I think this is a 9. Surely next stream, volume 6 is def. All right, man. We're going to leave it there. Woo! Thank you guys for watching this beautiful stream. Look at that. We read 30 chapters today. An amazing 8-hour stream. Sorry, we were barely approaching 3 hours. A little over 3 hours. All right, guys. Thank you guys for watching. Have a beautiful day. And I will see you guys all maybe a little bit Saturday and Sunday. For sure Monday. But I'll see you guys all very soon, okay? Good stream. Glad I could see ya. Amazing community. Amazing chat. You guys have been an amazing chat today. I hope you guys know that. Thank you. I'd say Pogs in the chat, but I know that's a Twitch thing. Do people on YouTube say that? When trailer drops, you guys let me know and we will be back. All right, guys. Peace. Mwah. Have a beautiful day. Volume 5 is also 10. I'm excited, man. You guys keep saying the volumes get better. The way I interpret it, every volume just keeps getting better. All right, guys. Have a beautiful day. I'll see you guys very soon, okay?